precisely kind of information do you want from the study? What do you want? What do you want?
Kia ora koutou katoa. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Mount Maunganui, where we have the Oceania Triathlon Continental Cup here in Mount Maunganui. My name's Hayden Sherman. I'm joined in the commentary booth by Stephen Sheldrake, where the sun is shining here in the sunny Bay of Plenty. The water is calm and conditions are perfect for late summer triathlon. So it's wonderful to have your company here on the coverage on skysportnext. Now, Stephen, look at that weather forecast. It looks pretty good. 10% chance of rain. I can tell you there's probably 0% chance looking out our window here. It's absolutely stunning conditions.
Yeah, morning, Hayden. It's first tick. We got the clocks right. We got here on time. So daylight saving and all. But yeah, absolutely stunning conditions. A slight change from last week. This time a week ago, we were in New Plymouth at the Continental Cup there, where it was sunny but very, very blustery. And here today, absolutely still, as you can see from these overhead photos. And we're not going to get any rain whilst we're here anyway. So, looking forward to this, and, an absolute stunning location for a triathlon here in New Zealand.
And as we pan across, when we see the swim course there, so they'll be heading out on the right-hand side of the course, out around those buoys. It's a one-lap swim with just a very small, probably 1 foot swell rolling in, which might make a little bit of a difference to those who have got a bit of experience with the body surfing. But here is your start list. We've got the junior men and the junior women in the Junior Oceania Cup going on first. So we've got Benjamin Airy, Oliver Larkham, Ivan Abel, William Taylor, Grayson Westgate, Ryan Nelson, Sam Perry, Gus Marfell, Henry McMecking, he came first last weekend in New Plymouth, Lucas Reed, Jacob Darth, Alex Brackenberry, Luke Cougarline and Dion Warwick. So a great little field there of the boys going head to head. A lot of those guys coming back after the race from last weekend. Oliver Larkham stepping down from the senior race, participating in the juniors on this occasion. Now in the women, we will go 8:32, so just 2 minutes behind the boys. And in that field, we've got a small but quality field of 7 women lining up, with Charlotte Brown, Sophie Spencer. She had a commanding win last weekend in New Plymouth in the wind there. And Monique Speeding, Lulu Johnson, Isabel Bannister, Olivia Rooney, Lola Bryson Bow. So great fields to start things off. Now where we're heading today, we've got the junior races at 8:30 and 8:32 respectively for the junior men, junior women, and then at 9:40 is the big one, with the elite men kicking off at 9:40, and then 9:42 the elite women. We're just cracking races last weekend in New Plymouth, and they're back again for more of the same. So ladies and gentlemen, jump on that share button, hit the share button and share it out to your friends and whānau and clubmates, schoolmates, and let's get some eyeballs on this as you sit at home. Maybe you've got the coffee brewing, maybe you've got the pancakes going, and you're in for a treat. 2 hours of great triathlon action. Sprint distance triathlon. Now we need to talk through this course, Stephen, and it's going to be fast and flat.
Yeah, an absolute difference to last week where we had a very hilly ride and a bit of a hilly run. This is dead flat. So we've got, like, as you said, like a 1 foot, a bit of swell rolling in. It may make a little difference at the end. It could be the difference between 1 or 2 seconds in making that front pack or not making that front pack. It's a anti-clockwise 1 lap swim, 750 metres. And then they've got about I'd guess about 150 metre run up the beach to transition to T1, where they'll rack on their bikes, and then they've got a dead flat 4 lap ride and out and back, so approximately sort of a 2.5k out and back, and they'll come back to transition area, and just before it they'll change. The one thing they've got to navigate here at the Mount Maunganui is all the speed bumps, so it's just something to be aware of, something to for the athletes to be aware, just to take control of their bike as they go over it, with drink bottles and those falling off and all the rest of it. And then they'll rack their bike, and then they've got another 4 lap run. So a very spectator-friendly run.
Cool.
Perry. Number 8, Gus Marfell. Number 9, Henry McMecking. Number 10, Lucas Reed.
And
number 11,
yeah, so it's going to be a very fast bike, fast run, and we'll definitely want the stopwatch on those, particularly the run splits, and see how fast these boys and girls can run. It's a really good opportunity for them to actually get the wheels rolling. As you can hear in the background, they're just going through those start lists and getting all the boys on the line, ready to go, and shortly behind them will be the women running, swimming I should say, just 2 minutes behind them. But you can see the conditions just absolutely perfect, and like you say, really good opportunity for the spectators to come down. Now this location, of course, is just one of the homes of triathlon here in Aotearoa. Obviously the Port of Tauranga half Ironman is a big feature every year, and this stretch of road that they'll be riding on out towards Tay Street, it's just such a famous little stretch. Everyone who comes on holidays here runs around the mount and then hops on their bike and heads out down the coast. So that's the course that they'll be following. But as you can see, the junior men in this Oceania Cup are lining up on the start line. They will be under starters' orders and ready to go, ready to tackle this small little swell that's coming in. But as we saw last week, these ocean swims can literally trip up a few people right at the start. So good technical start, but once they're into their swimming, it's a beautiful swim. I had a little dip in the ocean earlier this morning after my run, and it was very nice, but water conditions are just a tad under 20 degrees apparently, so we've got wetsuits on.
Yeah, so the threshold for triathlon and elite racing is 20 degrees. If it's under 20, you're allowed to wear a wetsuit. It's optional, you don't have to. And if it's over 20, you're not allowed to wear a wetsuit. And, everyone would have chosen to wear a wetsuit today because it is faster. It's a little bit different for everybody, but, it's probably about 8 seconds per 100 metres quicker. Wow. You just got to lie there and flap your arms, basically, and kick your legs and look where you're going. So, the boys are on the start line. And the one thing we're going to talk about today in these junior races, this is the selection race for the World Championships later in the year in Montreal, Canada. So, they're out to show the selectors that they deserve to go to the World Championship and put on that black singlet with the silver fern on and represent their country, most likely for the first time for a number of these junior boys. I don't believe any of these boys actually on the start list have been to a junior elite championship before.
It's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
But given that we've had COVID and we haven't been able to get to these events, so there'll be a few nervous boys and they're off. And as you said, we're going to have a 2-minute gap back to the women, and small but very competitive fields. And you'll see the ones that got the surf skills who are able to wade out a little bit further and get a bit of a gap. But you see they're going through sort of the porpoise diving at the moment, and the key to swimming in the surf is getting as low as possible under that little bit of swell. It looks like there's no more now they have to navigate, but looks like you've got a bit of a left line and a right line on the way out there. But exciting racing ahead.
So we're underway with this morning of triathlon here in Mount Maunganui. The boys have started with the Junior Men's Continental Cup. They head out through this small swell at Mount Maunganui, but it looks pretty close after that early start where we saw some people diving early, some people keeping the knees up, getting out as far as they could. So it's a beautiful, beautiful swim past the rocks here. Now they'll head out to the first buoy and then swing a 90-degree turn left, and then around the last buoy where it's one more 90-degree left turn, and then back towards the shore. Now they're swimming out on the eastern side of Motuiriki Island, otherwise known as Leisure Island, one of the popular little destinations when you're at this beach. You walk out onto the island and get some great views. And now we have the women on the start line, 7 women in this junior race, ready to roll. And let's see their technique as they hit the shallows, keeping their feet up nice and high, and they all go over that first wave. And now into those porpoise dives. Great to see these scenes here. Wetsuits on. We're in April here, late season racing. But it is great to see these quality fields lining up for this sprint triathlon.
Yeah, the athlete, I suppose, from last weekend who's put a target on her back would be Sophie Spencer out of Auckland, coached by Walter Thorburn. So she had a very, very good race last week and had a healthy lead at the end of the race. So she has probably got the target on the back, and all those other girls will be trying to get onto the back of her in this swim. And, so it's drafting today. They're allowed to ride off each other, and it's a lot faster working in groups as opposed to by yourself. And it'll be the same with the boys as well, as we get an overhead shot there. Looking through the boys' names, it's a fairly even field, but I suppose the names we need to look out for that are likely to be at the pointy end of the race is Oliver Lacombe. He's won the secondary schools race back in 2019 and 2020. 2021, sorry. Last weekend he decided to bypass the under-19 race and step up to the elite race, which he did very, very well. But he's obviously come back down to the under-19 race this week because of the selection that's actually on the event. And so look out for him up the front. The other good swimmers I expect to see up there would be Grayson Westgate out of the South Island, Ivan Abel out of Taupo, Sam Perry out of Palmerston North, coached by Tammy Reid, and Henry McMecking. He's the young lad that actually won the under-19 race last year. He's out of Christchurch. And just going through the list, I see Lucas Reid His dad, Shane, was a Olympian and actually led the swim out of the water in 2008 at the Beijing Olympics. So
there we go.
Bit of history there in that family.
Keeping it in the family. And the other one I want to keep an eye out for is Luke Kugelijn. I remember him being right up near the front after the swim, got third last week. So all of the big hitters from last week are back again, looking to challenge each other over this course. So 300 metres out to that first buoy, so that gives you an idea of the speed these guys are going. So 3.5 minutes to the first buoy means they're going at a reasonably quick clip. So 300 metres out, then they've got 150 metres between those two buoys, and then it's just that 300 metre sprint home onto the beach. And then from the beach, it's just a short run up the beach. We've got the carpet down, so there's not too much deep sand running, and then it's straight into the transition area. So looking like we've got a couple of swimmers right up the front, maybe three sort of sitting side by side. It's a little bit tricky to see in the morning glare of the sun.
Yeah, this is their first buoy turn is where swims tend to break apart, you know what I mean, and they get stretched out a little bit. So, you know what I mean, there's going to be a few just off the back of that front 2 or 3 that are going to be on a rubber band at the moment, making sure that they need to work themselves along that back buoy line and then get onto the back of those front 2, because they're going to have the swell coming from behind them. They're going to have to up their stroke rate a little bit more. You know, the difference between pool swimming and surf swimming a little bit is the stroke rate. And the ability for some athletes, you'll see some triathletes that are very, very good in the pool, but they're not so good in the open water because of stroke rate. The ability just to rate a little bit higher. The wetsuit will allow your body to sit a little bit higher in the water, but they'll turn this left-hand turn and they'll feel a little bit of a swell, just pick them up a little bit and bring them on the way in. But they're definitely swimming fast. We're sort of 5 minutes 20 into it, the buoy turn. It is stretched out a little bit now. It looks like there's about probably a minute gap between the front and the back as we see the first of the girls who are very stretched out reaching that first buoy, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of those faster girls actually close that. Looks like about a 90-second gap that they're allowed today to the back end of those male swimmers.
Yeah, so might get a few of the women rolling on by. Now, for the top swimmers rounding those buoys, is that an opportunity to put in a little break? Would we see a little acceleration as we come around those buoys to get away from the weaker swimmers that are maybe just trying to hang on to the toes?
Yeah, just being a smaller field today and a little bit gapped out, you know what I mean, it's not so bad. But when you see the World Series races where you've got 60 on the start line, they get to the first buoy that's usually about 300 metres, and you get 20 or 30 of them all trying to hit that same space at the same time.
Chaos.
Someone's got to sit up, you know what I mean? And there'll be some confident ones that have got a bit of a surf background that they don't mind going in for a bit of a hit to get themselves around them, and you'll get some that will swim the long way around the buoy and take a little bit longer to get around.
Now it looks like we've got about 5 swimmers right up that front, then a small little gap to 2 swimmers that are just swimming side by side, and then it's really strung out from there. So a group of about 5 or so swimmers right at the front there. We get a good shot of them. Difficult to tell who's who at the moment, but surely the likes of those strong swimmers that we mentioned right at the top will be right up there, and they will be hitting sand on their toes very shortly as they come in to finish off the swim. So a reminder, 750 metre swim, then they'll get into a 20k bike, and then it's that sprint finish, 5k on the roads here at Mount Maunganui. Now the road course heads the other direction, so we head rather than down towards Tay Street and those famous surf breaks that are named after the streets down that part of the mount. They'll head the other direction towards the cafes of Mount Maunganui. So I'm sure a few people have ordered their eggs Benny and have parked up at the outdoor seating at the cafes to catch some of this action. But here we go. We've got a front pack of about, is it 5, maybe 6 swimmers, all just riding on each other's hips, riding on each other's toes. Someone just switching over to a backstroke technique.
Yeah, they'll be the more experienced swimmers are swimming the open water in the sea. They'll be looking under the armpits, looking for a little bit of swell to bring them home. They're getting towards the end of the swim. They're starting to hurt a little bit. But you just see in the next sort of 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so, they'll be in that wave zone. And like I said, we haven't got a big swell here today, but it is the difference between potentially 5-10 seconds making that front gap, not breaking that group. Looks like there's a good 5 or 6 in that group. There's a 2 just off the back of it, and they will be desperate to make that front pack. And like I said, it's not a super long transition run, and it's got the blue carpet down, which makes it a bit easier. But when you go from that horizontal position to standing up and having the blood have to go to the legs, it's hard. It is really hard to do.
And if you see a little wave coming, do you put that little sprint in and try and catch it and ride it on in? Yeah, you up the arm rating and you bring in the legs and you try and get yourself in a position just to pop on that wave. You make your body as stiff as possible when you white ride it in. And like I said, it's not going to be a big wave in, but this could be the difference between, not being, you could be a bloody good runner and you just miss out, and be the difference between going to Worlds or not going to Worlds. So, and we can see one of those swimmers just off the back of that pack, and it's potentially a chance to come in. But look at this, they're into waist deep water now, and they all jump on that wave. Good body surfing there from one athlete. He's got it and pulling him all the way into the sand. One arm technique's got to watch out for the rocks. Yeah, they've definitely gone fairly right then. So it's something for the other races later on today just to be aware of in regards to coming in. But, that little wave gave him that, look, we're talking about a 5 to 10 second lead there at the moment. And we've got 1, 2, 3, look about 6 or 7 guys there. And we'll give a name as soon as they come through. So good close racing here at the end of the swim for this junior men's sprint triathlon. So it's Luke Kugelein out of the water as he did in Taranaki. He will be leading things out. Oh, I think that was Alex Brackenbury. We've just had it come through, so maybe my numbers are incorrect that I've got in front of me. So Luke Kugelein leading things out. Then it's 6 seconds back to Grayson Westgate, another couple of seconds back to Sam Parry, and then we've got a good bunch of boys behind them with Ivan Abel, Oliver Larkham, Henry McMeeking, William Taylor, all there. Only 15 seconds separating these boys, so still very close racing. And you'd think that we're going to get a good front pack. Yeah, no, definitely. There's 7 boys there. William's got about a 15-second gap he has to close. Bit of a backstory on William Taylor. He's coached by Ryan Sissons, our 2-time Olympian. So, recently changed to Ryan. So Ryan will be sitting. I saw him out on the course before. He will be desperate for his boy to get on to that front pack as we see Lucas Reed just making his way up into T1. All right, so we are on the bike with this junior men's race. They have the wetsuits off and perfect cycle conditions await them with just a very light westerly, but that won't be a factor compared to last week. And potentially have we got one of our female athletes coming through as well? Yeah, potentially. And Alex Brackenbury's just come in. He's finished in 10:20 and gone through T1 in 36 seconds. So, it's going to be interesting to see when they come back on that first lap which boys have made the front pack. Benjamin Aries out on the bike as well. He is the South Island under-19 champ from a month or so ago. And we believe this is the leaders for the women's race, getting these great drone shots of these beautiful water conditions. You want to be out there swimming, don't you? It's the perfect morning for a refreshing late summer's dip. But they hit the sand, a few little porpoise dives, no waves to bring in these swimmers on this occasion, so having to do a bit more of the work up the sand, and then it's just a short little run on the softer sand, and then we've got that nice blue carpet to bring them on into T1. Yeah, you see, so they start, looks like one of the boys, and then followed by the first of the girls, just stripping their wetsuit down. In fact, it's both of the boys, so they'll just be stripping their wetsuit down to their midriff, and then they will take off the suits, put the helmet on before they take the bike off the rack, and then make their way up onto the road. But that's Jacob Diarth and Ryan Nelson just coming in 12:10 and 12:11, and we're hearing from the overhead commentary here on the site that it's Sophie Spencer. Looks like she's got company potentially this week. And you can see what a difference it made with that first pack of boys. They had a good wave to ride on in, but these swimmers here having to do it tough, having to do those porpoise dives, keep the knees up, and a lot more work to get through these shallows and up onto the sand. So Sophie Spencer's come through in a time of 11:04. Here she is. She won by 5 minutes last weekend in New Plymouth. And can she do a similar performance? She's been in a very good, rich vein of form and looking like a good smooth transition. Unracks the bike and she is off onto this bike course Very flat bike course, so a good course to be riding on your own, and you can just set your own tempo, put the head down, get in a good aero position. So she is out of T1.
A 34-second lead over Lulu Johnson at 11:38, Izzy Bannister at 11:40, and Charlotte Brown 11:42. So those three girls that come out together, they need to work together. They want to follow, chase down Sophie Spencer. Is about 34 seconds up the road as we get the first shots of the boys on the road, and we'll try and get you the numbers and names and how many have made this front pack.
So it looks like Alex Brackenbury is up there. We've also got Grayson Westgate. This is assuming my numbers are all correct.
I think,
and Henry McMicking in there as well.
Yeah, I don't think Alex made that front pack there, but so our numbers might be a little bit wrong. But as soon as when they come through T1, when they come back to transition to do their first turn, hopefully we've got a timing chip there that will allow us to give you the names and numbers. That's number 5 there. That's Grayson Westgate on your screen. So he's just taken his sunglasses that he had in his helmet and put them onto his face. They've settled into this front pack here now. And as we see, we've had Olivia Rooney just come through. So she's come through in 12:46. She's about a minute 40 down on the front of the pack. There's Sophie Spencer again back on the front like last week, solo. And she said to the three girls behind, if you want to get me, you're going to have to ride together and ride hard here on this very flat course. That was one of the many speed bumps we've got here on the course that they have to navigate their way through, but she did that with ease.
The really interesting thing with this women's race is Sophie Spencer's, easily the favourite for the junior women, but behind her in New Plymouth, it was only 25 seconds separating about 4 or 5 athletes. So expect some more close racing with these women. So Olivia Rooney has got out of T1, and we can see a few of the other women coming through with Monique Spedding, Lola Bryson-Bowe. Izzy Bannister is through T1 as well. So they are all out on to the bike. Lulu Johnson's gone through. Charlotte Brown's gone through.
Here we go, mate. We've got, looks like 7 boys, and looks like they're all looking at each other. So we'll get you some names as they come through, but 7 boys have made this front pack now, and it's going to be interesting to see if there's any boys that don't believe they can outrun everyone in their pack that give it a go and try and break away from the gap. But the pace is definitely not on. They're sort of fanned across the road and looking at each other, so they've got to be careful that they don't have boys from behind them coming back up with some of the faster the runners. So it's going to be interesting.
And on that note, if you are one of the more cycle heavy triathletes, this is the time to make your mark. You don't want to leave it up to those runners, because it's very much a runner's course once we get out into the run.
Yeah, that's the beauty of triathlon. You've got to be strong at all 3 disciplines, and some races will come together and some races won't come together. And on these flatter courses, they tend to be bigger groups. Last week on a hillier course, they tend to break up a little bit more. The 1-lap swim is the difference to last week, where we had 2 laps of swimming. So the swimmers this week, a little bit more of an advantage being a 1-lap swim, but the flatter course probably nullifies that a little bit. As we see Sophie Spencer back on the screen. He's had a very, very good couple of weeks thus far, coached by Walter Thorburn, one of the originals of triathlon in New Zealand. He's won here actually on the Port of Tauranga course many years ago. He set the course record, so he's got a large history of racing down here, in a very special place for him. That day he won, his dad was didn't have long left in life, and he was actually on the finish line in a wheelchair to greet when his son won the race. So it was a very special day. I remember being here that day.
So here they go on the stunning course, and for those watching at home, no doubt you would have at least run or perhaps cycled along the stretch of road, and this is a dream situation, having the roads closed and be able to just ride up and down the spectacular stretch of road with the Pacific Ocean out on your right, well on Sophie's left there, and these famous little surf spots going past, Taste Street, Hart Street, all the famous spots. So we can see behind us is the boys coming back from their first lap. Now laps, we've got 4 laps, and so it's about 5k per lap, and they head down to just between Clyde Street and Hart Street for those who know this area quite well. So 2.5k heading east, 2.5k back towards the mount, and those boys are just finishing up their first lap on the bike now.
Yeah, looks like a group of 7 there. We had a couple of boys give a little bit of a stab before they went into that turn to try and get away. But it's going to be a very, very hard course to get away. It's going to have to be that opportunist moment where someone gets away and someone on the front chasing goes, well, you chase, and no, and they don't chase and they get away. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we have at least 5 or 6 still coming together at the end of this course. But just a few of the boys have been stretched out a little bit on these TV screens. They would have been on the turn. If you're the 7th wheel going into the turn, you've got to close all those little gaps that's been created, and they've got to be careful that they don't get dropped off.
Is it one of those things where it's almost easier to be up near the front before you hit a turn, so you don't get slingshot out the back?
Yeah, they know each other well, these boys. They're going to know who are the stronger riders, who are the stronger runners. Is going to sit back and go, hey, I'm happy to wait for this the run. You know what I mean? Oliver Lacombe, he's definitely one of the stronger riders. He's won a lot of these races in the past off a very strong ride in places like New Plymouth. Yeah, we're going to find out who's the form runner. We saw last week the strength of McMecking, Henry McMecking. He ran very, very well. He got away in the under-19 race with Ivan Abel from Taupo, but Henry was the stronger runner of those two. But we didn't have Will Taylor last week. Obviously, we didn't have Oliver in that front group. This week we've got Grayson Westgate up there. We've got Sam Parry, very good runner. He raced up in the elite race last weekend as well. He actually beat, from my memory, beat Oliver. So, yeah, it's going to be a very good run.
It's going to be very exciting and totally different course when you factor in we had gusting 60-70 km/h winds last weekend, hills, a lot more turns. We've just got those 2 180-degree turns on this course. Now, Sophie rolling along, looking really good. Now, Stephen, you'll need to fill me in on regulations, rules around aero bars. Obviously, she's in a situation where she's out rolling on her own.
Yeah.
Is she allowed to have some clip-on aero bars? Or is this...
So in triathlon and ITU racing, that is, World Triathlon Racing, you're allowed to have clip-on bars, but they cannot protrude the end of your hoods. Right. So they're very short ones. But this is the final year that you're allowed to use them. So ITU this year made it end of last year decided that 2022 would be the last year that athletes are allowed to use them. It was getting all a little bit complicated with the people creating these super bars that were really, really high but spat within it. And, you know, these bars were costing some athletes overseas €2,000-3,000. Wow. It was crazy, the sort of amount of money that's been spent on these sort of carbon composite type bars. So, yeah, this is the last year they're allowed to use them. A course like this, in her position by herself, would have been good to use. But you know, being a younger athlete, not spent as much time on the aero bar by yourself, probably hasn't had to use them. Comes from a school racing background, I believe, Sophie, out of Auckland. So, you know, she's happy just to put her head down and stay in that position and ride well. But when she comes through, we'll try and get a split back to those 3 girls that came together, just as we see her on the screen. But we'll put a stopwatch on her and we'll see whether those 3 girls that came out of this swim approximately 34 seconds down on her have closed the gap or lost. And she's going to get her first visual as well as she makes her way back out for the second lap to see whether, you know, she's best to keep pushing or whether those girls are closing.
The other factor, it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on overall times. It's obviously hard to compare times between courses, but to give a bit of a gauge on how hard last weekend was. So Sophie did the sprint triathlon last weekend in 109, just a tick under 110. Well, the other women were all around 114, 115, bit of a log jam for those second, third and fourth places. So that'll be interesting to see how much quicker this course is, and if you're ever going to go fast on a sprint triathlon course, today is your day. You've got beautiful ocean conditions, you've got beautiful road conditions with no hills, only the 2 corners every 2.5k to tackle.
Yeah, so this is the 3 girls that came out together. Looks like they're sort of semi-working together, but she was 34, it is now 104. So Sophie's gone and ridden approximately about 40 seconds into on those laps. So yeah, she's definitely repeating last week and creating a big gap again.
Yeah, so
those 3, they need to work together. They need to be talking with each other and go, hey, if we want to nullify this gap or keep it as it is. We need to work together. They need to work, have sort of 20, 30-second goes on the front and just work together well as a three-person, group.
Do you think that in the back of their mind they'll be thinking, well, Sophie beat us by 5 minutes last week, she's untouchable, or will they take this as an opportunity? Look, we've got flat roads, the road surface is nice and smooth here, maybe we can actually work together and close that gap.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They may be going, hey, we're racing second. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to do all the work. You do the work. I'm going to save myself for the run. I'm a better runner than you. You do the work on the bike. You know what I mean? So they know each other, these girls.
It's the politics in the cycle pack, right?
It is. It's a little bit like these boys here we've got on the screen at the moment. And you can see there's a little bit of soft pedaling going there at the back, and there's not much emphasis going into it because they realise it's such a flat course and really, really hard to get away. Just trying to see whether we've lost any of this. We potentially may have lost a couple. We saw in that last turn there was a couple of boys just off the back, so it looks like we've only got a group of 5 now.
Yeah, and the fact the motorbike's just slotted in there would suggest that they have pulled away. So we've got Parry in there. I think is Westgate still there? We'll try and get an update, but we're definitely down to just the 5 athletes. Larkham, I believe. My eyesight's being tested.
Yeah, so we apologise. We're not getting any splits through on the bike at the moment, so we will do our best. I've definitely got ageing eyes. Had perfect sight about 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Now it's like Father Time's caught up with me, and I've lost my.
We've got a bit of glare on the screen.
Let's
call it that.
Yeah.
And talking about the glare, it is this beautiful morning sunshine here in Mount Maunganui, just a bit of light cloud around, but definitely nothing threatening. And there you can see those 5 boys are clear, and a nice little pace line rolling along on the smooth roads of Mount Maunganui. Just the judder bars to contend with, and obviously those tight turns as they all get up out of the saddle and really hammer those pedals to get back up to speed. You can see how tough it is there, just hanging on the back, making sure you don't lose contact with that group. So there we go. What was that, about 10 seconds?
Yeah, it was 15 seconds. We've heard that it's Luke Kugelheim. He was the leader of the swim last week and off the bike in New Plymouth. And I believe it's Will Taylor who's been dropped off the front of that front group. So, and Westgate, I would suggest it's Oliver Lacombe, Ivan Abel, Sam Parry, and potentially Henry McMeekin still in that front pack. So I don't know who's the form runner of those that front 5 at the moment. We know that McMeekin ran well last week, and we know Oliver Lacombe's history, and even Sam Parry, who raced an elite race as well. So, you know what I mean? It's going to be a good race, and as we said before, this is selection for the World Champs in Montreal in late June. And what happens is we have at the moment 2 men, 2 women quota spots. It'd be up to New Zealand selectors to decide who they want to put in that team. But today, if you win this, you'll be guaranteed a spot. So guaranteed a spot, and even second place would be a big hand up tip towards it. And then in about 3 weeks' time, a number of these juniors are heading to Australia to the Oceania Championships, where we will get our full quota, and we can potentially get 3 and 3. That's the most, that's the maximum we can have, but we're definitely going to have 2 and 2. And I've been suggesting that the first 2 today will do a big thing as we see someone trying to get away. I think it might be Lacombe, and McMeekin looked at them and said, well, you guys are not going to chase, I'm going to go across and chase. So, it's going to... It's the old poker game going on here. It's like, I'm happy to sit here. I'm a better runner than you. You chase it down, and, if someone keeps sticking it to them, someone may get away. And you've got to be on your game as we're we're probably about 12K into this 20K ride at the moment.
So a reminder, 20K ride, and then we're out onto a 5K run to finish things off. And just as we had those big attacks, it looks like things have backed off a little and got a bit more pedestrian. So we'll see a bit of this attacking, bit of these games being played between this front pack. And in the women's race, it's totally different with Sophie Spencer clear out front, and then a couple of other, we've got 3 cyclists behind her who are able to have a bit of teamwork. But there you can see just the gentle swell rolling in. Perfect conditions here in Mount Maunganui for triathlon. Where else would you want to be in the country rather than right here on a Sunday morning? Swim, bike, run, beautiful scenes. And here we have those, I think these are two of the boys rounding that bend. We've got Henry in there.
As you can see, going around this 180 turn, there's a lot of different techniques. Definitely something as a junior athlete you need to practice.
We just apologise, we don't have any splits coming through at the moment, so we will do our best to let you know who it is. I'm sure we've got family at home, mums and dads and grandparents and aunties and uncles that have dialed in and watching this coverage today here on Sky Next. And a big shout out to Paul Miller and the Triathlon Tauranga team here for putting on this race. They've done an amazing job. So back in late December, early January, when all these events were being cancelled, Triathlon New Zealand and the team got together and we reached out to a few race directors throughout the country and said, hey, we'd be really, really keen to put on these elite races. We've had some elite athletes, younger ones that haven't raced for the last couple of years due to COVID, and they need to get some racing in if they're going to head overseas and just get some racing here locally. And we've managed to pull off this 3-race series. So we had it last weekend in New Plymouth. That also combined as the New Zealand Secondary School Championships. And then we've here at Mount Maunganui, and then next weekend we head to Taupo.
So good.
Yeah.
So good having just 3 Sundays back to back. Nice and simple. Book the time in front of your TV and tune into the action. So we did see before there the boys look like they've been whittled down to a group of 4. So not sure what happened to Grayson Westgate, but it looked to me like he might have been dropped off that front pack. So we had Oliver Larkham, Ivan Abel, Sam Perry and Henry McMicking in that front pack. There is Sophie Spencer. Round she goes, back up onto the pedals, and she is head down as she did last weekend in Taranaki. She has come here to ride this bike off its wheels. She is looking really good, really strong.
Yeah, she's
holding
looking
a good
really
lead.
good. Yeah, she's just locked in that sort of aero position and she's just riding away. And we'll get a split. It was about a minute 10-ish, wasn't it, last time? So we'll see if she's opened up a gap again. And these boys are throwing it down at each other. It looks like there's 4 boys there in that group. And you will have the not such strong runners trying to attack. You'll have the runners sitting on and is closing any attacks that happens there. So looks like, is that Ivan Abel on the back there?
Yeah, Ivan just happy to sit at the back, then Perry, then McMicking, and then it looks like it's Oliver Larkham.
No, that potentially, is that Lacon there that's gone around?
Oh, maybe.
I think he may have got away, or I might be wrong.
We definitely...
No, I think the camera's here staying on the front, but definitely got a Bell. We've definitely got Perry.
Yeah,
there's
that's
Lacom on the
yep.
right, and that's McMicking. So these are the 4 boys that are trying to get away. As we see the girls, this is a group of 3 girls that are now 120 down. So lost another 10 seconds, but they've definitely ridden better that lap than that first lap. I think they lost about 40 seconds the first lap, only about 10 seconds there. And
these attacks just keep coming. This is great stuff here on the bike from these boys, all looking at each other, prepared to lay down these big sprint attacks, try and break up this pack. And what are we coming up to? 1 lap to go for these guys?
Yeah, they are. And it looks like it's definitely Lacombe that's throwing it down. And like I said, he's probably one of the stronger riders there. He potentially knows that McMicking or a Sam Perry are better runners than him. And he needs that gap. But there's only so many times you can do this. And, it looks like Perry and McMicking, who are very good runners, are potentially a bit better than Oliver, that are just sitting there and going, well, if you want to do this, I'm going to sit and chase you all day.
And not having to surge obviously saves the legs, but you can see how this is just yo-yoing. That it'd be great to see their power graphs after this, because you think, well, it's a flat road, it's perfect conditions, but the wattage will be spiking and major troughs as they go into some freewheeling mode. And then a minute or so later, they're back to attack mode. So,
yeah, it's awesome racing. It's good to see the boys throwing it down against each other, and you just see them navigating these speed bumps that we have on the course here. It's about 3 per lap, so that's 6 out and back. So they've got to do that 4 times. It's 24 speed bumps. So, yeah, we'll get a split on to these boys here at the moment. But
Sam and Ollie. So Grayson Westgate's more.
So around that tough corner for the last time, they'll head out towards Tay Street for the last lap of this 20-kilometre bike ride. So 4 men all wheel to wheel, and you can't see a break making a huge difference in this stage. Even if you do get away, you might only pull back a few seconds, which you would think would be eaten up pretty quickly. Now there's your chasing too. Remember, we had 7 guys all together at the start of the bike. That's been whittled down to 4, and I believe that's Grayson Westgate, maybe Luke Kugelheim, one of those.
I think it was those
boys.
two. It was definitely Westgate and Kugelheim that come through. Just 30 odd seconds down as we get another shot of Sophie Spencer sort of cruising away. She's out on her 3rd lap at the moment on the way out.
Just time trialing it. She's doing a great job of being able to just get into her own rhythm.
Yeah, nice still
ride her
upper
own
body.
race.
She's not under too much duress in regards to this sort of, she's just locked herself in. She's getting a visual each time, and, she'll be going past those 3 girls going, hey, I passed you at number, 68 here on the main road here, and next time I pass you at number 76, as in the Hell's numbers, and she'll know that her gap is getting bigger. And potentially she's got coaches and family out on the course that are giving her splits as well.
Great to see a few little shots of Tay Street. A few surfers up on some of those small waves this morning, but Sophie rounds the bend and starts to head towards home. Now she will have one more lap to ride, I believe, once she's finished this one. But continues to look very strong as she did last week, and as we've seen multiple times this morning, another attack on the bike trying to break up this pack. We've whittled it down from 7 to 4. Can we whittle it down even more? You can tell who the runners are by the way that they just sit at the back and don't want to spike any wattage. They just want to sit in and be as close to the front of the race as possible.
Yeah, I feel that Oliver's the one that is actually trying to make it really, really hard. And you've got McMecken, you've got Sam Parry. He's just locked himself onto Oliver's wheel, and every time he just flinches and looks like he's going to attack, he does the same thing. He gets on his wheel. Ivan, he looks like he's just holding on a little bit at the moment. He got away last week with McMecken, and McMecken running away from him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these, all these little attacks, what it's taken them out of their legs for the run. Oliver's either thinking, hey, I need to make this ride really, really hard, so they've got tired legs going into this run. But we're going to find out, mate, in probably about 3 or 4 minutes' time.
So if you've just joined us, welcome to the coverage here in Mount Maunganui for the Oceania Continental Cup. This is the junior races riding at the moment. They are out on the 20k cycle, and we have 4 boys at the front who are attacking, and these are some of the other riders. They'll loop around for the last time on the bike. So we've got essentially 2 very different races with 4 men on the bike, all riding wheel to wheel, and there they are. And the women's race is Sophie Spencer out on the front, head down, solo time trialing, TTing out the front. And these 4 men will have about 3k from here left to ride, and then it's out onto that 5k run.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, mate. Look at this, got a tap from the... Oh, no. Yeah, as you said, mate, 2 very different races. A group off the front attacking each other, and Sophie just time trialling by herself. She had about a minute 40 lead last time as she went through. So we'll try and get a split as she comes back to start her final lap.
And the other key race within that women's race is that very close battle for second. We knew coming into it after last weekend's race where we had Sophie about 5 minutes clear of the rest of the field, but there was 4 women behind her who all came through with 25 seconds separating them. So we would very likely see a similar situation with a big battle for that second place, and as you've said, there's 2 spots up for grabs for that World Champs in Montreal in the end of June, which isn't actually too far. It's really creeping up on us. The Northern Hemisphere summer is fast approaching.
Yeah, it's definitely it's the earliest we've had a World Championships for a long, long, long time. So, yeah, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you've got to, train hard, race through, our summer, and then a number of these athletes are off to Australia in 3 weeks, and that's at the end of April. Then we're at May, and then it's not very long until you got to a World Championship. So it is quite difficult.
Now, is this Sophie Spencer, who's just pulled out in front of one of the boys that she's been riding with for a little bit, so good for her to have a little bit of company on the solo ride. Stephen's got the split watch going, and we'll be able to give a split back to the chasing pack. There were 3 women all close together at one stage, but Sophie doing a wonderful job of riding solo. She did last week, pulled away on the bike and continues to pull away, and we'll get an update on how far she's been able to pull away. But talking of pulling away, there's been no pulling away with this boys cycle race. We've got 4 men who are riding wheel to wheel. Oliver Luckham, he's at the front. He's been trying to push things and spread things apart, but no luck so far. Attack after attack has not come to fruition, and that means it leaves it in the hands of some of these boys with the quick bike legs, and they will come into T2 very, very shortly. Now, the run course is nice and simple. It's about 1.25k per laps, 5k run, and there are, like we've had for the bike, there's just 2 hairpin turns per lap to navigate, so about 8 hairpin turns in total. So every 700-800 meters they'll need to round another turn. But here come those boys. Well, this is the chase pack for the girls, isn't it? So we're going to get a good split here.
Yeah, 3 girls, so it looks like they've actually, either second and third lap, they've ridden well together, you know what I mean? They sort of lost a fair bit on that first lap, but yeah, they're turning, they're about 1:37 down there, so they haven't lost any time. They actually made a couple of seconds up on Sophie, so they've obviously been talking to each other, working together and trying to keep that gap as it is. But we're not far away from those front boys. As I just look back behind where we're sit at the moment, we can see the lead motorbike, and they're going to be coming into T2 as fast as they possibly can. They need to make sure that they get a foot on the ground before the dismount line. Then they'll run their bike to the racks where they must rack their bike and then take their helmet off.
Now, how important is this T2? Because obviously you don't want to lose any time, especially if you're a slightly weaker runner than some of the other boys. So off they go, feet on the ground, and they are into T2. So talk us through the importance of this transition, Stephen.
It's super important, mate. It's you know, I mean, it's free run up the road basically. You get 3-4 seconds on each other, but these 4 are very, very good. They're coming close together. You'll see they'll rack their bike. They take their helmet off. They've got bins there. The helmets must go in the bins. If it doesn't go in the bin, they incur a 10-second penalty. Whoa. And just, you know, a small mistake there by Sam Parry, decided to go the wrong way, and it looks like Ollie, Sam and Henry going out. A really quick 26-second T2 by all of them, but yeah, it's going to be a foot race. You see they've got a little dog leg here that is behind us at the moment. It's about a 50 metre down to a turnaround where they'll go around that, then they'll come back here onto the main beach here, and it looks like we've got Lacombe, Parry and McMecking, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to push the pace early on today.
So there we can see those 3 runners getting the better of the transitions, but it was Ivan Abel who just had the slightly slower transition, and like we talked about, the importance of getting that transition right means that suddenly you find yourself in a little bit of no man's land there. But 2 runners look like they are just pulling ahead, getting that early lead. Now, remember last weekend it was Henry McMecking that pulled away to win the juniors, and
that's Parry and Lacombe have decided to push the pace early. They've got a little gap already on McMecking, so these are the 2 boys that stepped up last week and raced the elite race. They got that experience and they understand what it's like to race at the top now, and yeah, they're going to go at each other, and you know, they were probably the 2 names that had the targets on the back in regards to this race today and selection for the World Championships. So a few more athletes just coming in at the moment. We've had Will Taylor come in, and we've had Luke Kugelheim also come in and go out through T2.
All right, here we are onto the run. So Parry and Luckham stepping down from the elite race. They look like they are now going clear of these other boys. So on the bike we couldn't split them up, but as soon as we're onto the run, it looks like it might be coming down to a 2-man race already. So coming into T2, putting the feet down onto the pavement.
Yeah, that was Alex Brackenbury, number 12, as we get a really good shot of Lacombe and Parry, and they're starting to move pretty quick on this very flat course today. I'm expecting to see something probably in the high 15s from these boys off the bike, but we'll get some splits as they come through and get a bit of an idea at the sort of pace they're running. But, you know, be interesting to see what all those little attacks that Oliver did on the bike and what it's taken out of him on the run. And Sam was the one that was closing them, so he's probably not spent as much on the bike. But, you know, I mean, it's now a foot race, and it doesn't matter what's happened beforehand.
So the crowd starting to build in anticipation for 9:40, where the elites will kick off, with the men starting at 9:40, and then at 9:42 we'll be underway with the elite women. We had such a fantastic race last week with 4 women all coming off the bike together. And Nicole Vanderkade taking out that one. Now, Nicole is not racing this weekend. Little niggle to nurse.
Yeah, bit of a tight leg, bit of a tight calf and foot, and just playing it cautious. It's a big, long season ahead, and hopefully we see her next weekend in Taupo, and you know, we may even get her in on the commentary later today, because she's just out doing a bit of training at the moment. So we'll try and get her to come make a few words and tell us herself exactly what's going on. But yeah, there's a number of elites here on the course. They're doing warm-up, and they're getting to watch these juniors race as they prepare for their race in about 25 minutes time.
Now, we've got the boys out on the run, and it is Sam Parry with Oliver Lacombe. Now, how did they fancy against each other last weekend? Well, it was Sam Parry who got the better of Oliver, coming in 11th as opposed to 13th for Oliver. But the run split went to Oliver, running 17 flat compared to Sam's 17.26. Now, so how can you split these two? It might be too tough to tell, but they are coming past us now to complete their first lap of 4 laps on the run. Sam is in the lead. Oliver's right on his tail, being prepared to let Sam do some of the work. Now we have some of the lapped runners coming out onto the run course, and so that will make things a little bit trickier, but potentially Sam Parry just putting a little touch of a gap. But we've got these 180-degree turns twice per lap, so they are going to play a part as well.
Yeah, no, they're just running off each other. You saw Oliver push the pace early on for the first about K, and then Sam just moved around past him. They've got about a 10-12 second gap back to McMecking, and then Ivan Abel having a better run this week than last week, and he's just off the back with him, a couple of seconds behind it. But as you said, yeah, just a couple of the lap runners with Lucas Reed there and the young boy Warwick all running together, but they're just a lap down, and yeah, they're just coming past us here where we're commentating at the moment. So about a 15-second lead to McMecking and Abel.
Great scenes here at Mount Maunganui. So the run course, they head down towards the cafes. Basically, when they hit the cafes, when they start to smell the flat whites and the eggs, Benny, that's when they swing around back towards the transition area. So it's a great little course here where the spectators get to see them a lot running past right at Mount Jury Reserve, for those who know the area well. And there we can see just a little bit of a break, so maybe Sam Parry starting to edge away, but well, there we can see the arms of Oliver Lacombe right behind him, so really not too much in it at the moment. Lucas Reed, one of our lapped runners, along with Dion Warwick just there, but Sophie Spencer, here she comes into T2, racks the bike. She will get the helmet off, and she will have a clear road in front of her, except for the boys, of course. But she's got a good little lead on the girls behind her. Stephen Sheldrake has the split clock going, and we will give you an update on exactly where they are at. So,
yeah, she's still got a good lead. It was about a minute 40 something last time, and we also see Jacob Diath coming in, and we had a few other runners started a little bit earlier with Dion Warwick and Lucas Reed, Gus Marfell. They're out on the run courses. We see Sophie just doing that little dog leg to start with. That's just to make up the distance, to make it a true 5-kilometre run today. When I got down here about an hour before the start, I saw Hayden Wild He had the GPS out and he was running the course, measuring it. He did about 3 laps, and apparently it's dead accurate.
I'm surprised he didn't have the measuring wheel out just to make absolute sure, shuffle some cones around, make sure it's an honest 5K.
Yeah, he definitely wants a good warm-up, but he also wanted to know to make sure the course was right as well. So
because when he goes back to his runner friends, they want to know, was it actually 5K that you just ran 14 something on?
It's a real bone of contention, isn't it? Runners and triathletes, and the runners telling us that triathlon courses are always short.
I think it's because the running world can't believe that you can be running 30K or 10K under 30 minutes or 5K under 15. Just incredible how quickly these guys and girls can run off the bike, and it really shows the work that they've put in doing those brick sessions and teaching those tired legs to run so well off the bike. Now we have our 3 women chasing down Sophie Spencer. Have they made up any ground?
No, exactly. They actually made a few seconds up on it. At 1:34, so we've got Izzy Bannister, Charlotte Brown and Lulu Johnson. So they've all raced very well. They've ridden well together, and now they're going to go out and see if they can close any of that 1:30. I'd be very surprised if they do, because Sophie looked very, very good as she made her way out. And we're not far away from seeing the boys. And we've got Sam Parry. He's just gone past me now in the commentary bit. And he has definitely opened up a gap. He's got about 4 seconds to Lacombe. And, he's distanced in by about 50 metres at the moment, halfway through this run.
There we go. So the women are out onto the run. The boys are into their... 3rd lap now, so they are already halfway through this run, so ticking along very nicely. And it looks like Sam Parry, as he did last week, is potentially going to get the better of Oliver Larkham.
Yeah, and we've got Henry McMicking. He went through 26 seconds down, and then about another 5 seconds back to Ivan Abel. So they're battling out for that last podium position on the podium today. And just as they run past me here, I'll get a split on Sam and Oliver. But he's definitely running a little bit taller and a little bit straighter and a little bit longer stride length at the moment. But we're at 7 seconds back to Lacombe at the moment. And we just have some of the next of the girls coming in. We've got Olivia Rooney coming in, and then Lola, Bryce and Bo coming in together as well.
So putting on their running shoes here in Mount Maunganui. And if you just joined the coverage, you are tuned into the Oceania Continental Cup. This is the junior race. The junior men and junior women are out there on the run. It's 5K to go in this race. Along the streets of Mount Maunganui, the boys have passed the halfway mark in the run. Sophie Spencer is out on the run in the women's race with a handy about 1:30 lead over the pack. The boys all came together. We had 4 men riding into T2 together, but Sam Parry has pulled away on this run. He's looking good. He's up on the toes, breathing very nice and comfortably, and you can see him just eating up turf out on this run as he pulls away from Oliver Larkham in second place. Ivan Abel and Henry McMicking aren't too far behind, so there'll be a good little battle for second and third. But it looks like Sam Parry has played his cards well, kept those matches dry for the run leg.
Yeah, and just a bit of an update on a little bit back in the field. We've got we had Will Taylor coming through in about 6th place, and just in front of him was I'll just grab a name. Potentially it was Westgate, I think, through in 5th.
Yeah, Grayson Westgate was one of the
I
early
lie.
pack
Sorry,
of
I
7.
lie. It was Kugelheim.
Kugelheim, right.
Kugelheim.
Yep,
He
so
was through 5th, and then 6th. As this we see, I'll get a split on it. So Sophie's just gone behind me. She's just about to finish 1 lap of the run, of the 4-lap run. So about 1.25k through at the moment. And she was about 1:36 up on those 3 girls of Charlotte Brown, Lulu Johnson and Isabel Bannister.
All right, now onto the run. This is Aitken there as one of our lapped runners, but Sam Parry has a good little lead at the moment as he comes back down towards the transition area. He will have 1 lap, 1.25k left to run once he comes past the transition and the finish line here on the coastline of Mount Maunganui. So Sam Perry holding a very handy lead. Here's Sophie Spencer, who also is holding a very good lead over those girls. And you would think that a minute 30 would be too much to reel in, but you never know. You never know if someone can... If Sophie's running, I don't know, 18 minutes 30, and someone can bust out a 17-minute low, could they eat up some ground?
Yeah, we'll find out in a second, and we'll get a larger idea as they go through for the first lap. But, yeah, just Sam Perry's just gone past me at the moment. He's going to have one more lap to go, and it looks like he's increased his lead slightly to Oliver Lacombe. But he's still looking very, very good at the moment and moving along well. But, yeah, he's probably at about 12 seconds now, so he's opened up 5 more seconds on that next lap. And as we see the first of the chasing girls behind, just going through, she's still at 1:34, so running exactly the same distance that she did coming off the bike to behind Sophie Spencer.
Yeah, we've just had Monique Spedding head out onto the run as well. She's in 7th place, coming through T2. But here is Sophie Spencer. She had a wonderful day in New Plymouth, cleaning out the field by over 5 minutes. And once again, she's come to Mount Maunganui to play, had a great bike that gave her that minute 30 odd lead. And she continues to look very strong on the run, ticking away nicely.
So we've got Lulu Johnson sitting in 2nd place, and then we had Charlotte Brown in 3rd, followed by Isabel Bannister in 4th. So those boys are now into the last run and last lap of the run, and I'd say that we've got about 800 metres to go at the moment. It looks like Sam Perry's going to take it today from Oliver Lacombe.
Yeah, after all that attacking from Oliver Lacombe on the bike, it did come down to a running race in the end with 800 metres still left to run, so it's not done and dusted yet. That last 800 metres, all sorts of things can happen, as we know, in the finish line of a triathlon. But here we go. These are that was Charlotte Brown, so she's sitting in 3rd place at the moment.
Yeah. And then we've got Bannister. We've got Isabel Bannister.
Yeah, not
sitting
too far behind.
No, she's only 2 seconds behind at the moment as they went through that first lap. So they're going to be racing to see who gets on that podium.
So we're on to the last lap for the junior men in this Oceania Continental Cup in Mount Maunganui. It's just about 600 metres left to run in this final leg of the sprint triathlon. Sophie Spencer has rounded the corner up at the cafe end of this run course. She continues to hold a comfortable lead.
Yeah, no, she's looking really, really good. And like I said, she it was more or less the same split after that 1.25k back to Lulu Johnson, who's out of Tauranga here, coached by Craig Kirkwood.
So Sophie, she's been doing it solo for most of the day and continues to tick along nicely. She doesn't need to panic, doesn't need to redline it, anything at the moment. She can just go about her processes and treat this like a bit of a tempo run and save those matches in case she needs it, in case someone has an absolute flyer behind her. And the good thing about this course is she'll get those good visual cues on where she's sitting every few hundred metres.
Yeah, whilst being a very spectator-friendly course, it's also a very athlete-friendly course. So you get to see where your competitors are, how to control, each lap, what energy you put into it.
So there's the finish line. That is the site that Sam Perry will be looking for in probably about 400 or 500 metres. So just over a minute away, he will spot that finish line and be able to really move into 5th gear and empty the tank on what has been so far a very good day in the office.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's going to be, like I said, putting his hand up really, really high, and I believe it's an automatic selection to the World Junior Championships this year, and he's definitely finishing off very strong as we get a bit of a sight here. He's probably got about 100 metres to go, and yeah, it's going to be a very quick time today here of about just over 57 minutes, and he's going to put a his hand up to the elite boys and go, come after this time in your race in a half an hour's time.
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, our winner in the Junior Men's Oceania Continental Cup. He takes the tape. Sam Parry has had a wonderful run here at Mount Maunganui. It was 4 boys all right together, but he put the burners on in the first lap of the run, pulled away from this man, Oliver Luckham. He will take a well-deserved second place after all that attacking he did on the bike. Runs through for the silver in this race here at Mount Maunganui. Now third place is going to be a good little battle. We had Ivan Abel and Henry McMecking very close to each other, and we'll need to keep an eye on how those two come. And it is McMecking, after taking out the junior race last weekend in New Plymouth. He will take third today here at Mount Maunganui. Well-deserved third place. You can see how hard that run was. It was very quick, and we're getting those splits through. 16:19 for Sam. That's a good run off the bike.
Yeah, very, very good run after a hard day of racing. And as we see Ivan Abel out of Taupo, coached by Cameron Porter's coming through to 4th. And it's been a very good day for him as well, and he'll be very happy with that. So 57.06, the winning time today for Sam Parry. As you said, a very quick 16:19 minute run. And Oliver Lacombe, he finished in 57.25, followed by McMecking, 57.52. And then about 21 seconds and 58.13 behind, back to Ivan Abel. And we'll be keeping an eye out for the 5th place. Who will be coming in, I believe, we're not far away. I believe it was Luke Kugelheim that was in 5th place, followed by Will Taylor as they went through last the laps, just as we see Sophie starting out on her, I believe it's her 3rd lap now.
So Sophie doing it solo here as we see another of our finishers come through. That was Luke Kugelheim. He had a great swim, so he'll go home with a top 5 finish. Lucas Reed there, you can see.
That swim, I was happy with that, but on the bike the boys have been pretty tactical. It was very surgy, but then on the run I was just went for it and managed to come away with the win, which I'm happy with. So.
Nice. We saw that bike just look absolutely ruthless. Boys falling off the back every lap. How'd you find it?
Yeah, it was hard, but as long as you stayed in tight and got a good draft, then you're fine. But yeah, a lot of surging from the boys, but it's good fun.
Good work, mate. Good work today.
There is our winner, Sam Parry. Successful day. Really made that strong move in the run. And within 1 lap, he had put a little gap on Oliver Luckham and then pulled away from the field to claim a win. And surely that will be very close to booking his ticket off to... It's Montreal, isn't it? I always get confused. Montreal, Edmonton.
Montreal, Canada. So, yeah, it's also the Elite World Championships here as well. And it's an eliminator race for the elites this year.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so they've got to do a super short triathlon, sort of like about a 300-metre swim, like the MTR, mixed team relay distances. And there will be, each time they eliminate sort of 5 or 6, you have heats and finals and semi-finals, and it's a hard weekend of racing for them. But yeah, they'll be doing it that weekend. There'll be a mixed relay there as well, a World Series mixed relay, the Junior World Championships.
And that'll be sprint distance?
That's sprint distance, yeah.
It's a fast course here. Boys were surging quite a lot, made it interesting.
So first last week, slightly smaller field last week. Did you expect that to change the way the racing happened?
Yeah, definitely. Like Sam and Oliver, they were in the elite field last week. I knew they were going to be definitely up here this week.
Good work, mate. Well done. And if we look back down...
So that was Henry McMecking talking about his 3rd place today. Good, strong backup after his win in the junior race last week. And as he mentioned, having Sam and Oliver coming back down into the juniors definitely mixes things up and makes a 3rd still very credible placing there for Henry McMecking. But on screen it is Sophie Spencer, who is running very, very well after a strong bike. And we have the split back to the pack. I believe it was Lulu Johnson who was sitting in 2nd, and Lulu will know this part of the world pretty well.
Yeah, she's based over here, and as I said before, coached by Craig Kirkwood, running background. 1:36 was what the last gap was, so it'll be interesting to see with 1.25k to go whether Lulu's closed the gap, getting any closer, and what her distance is back to third place, who I believe was Charlotte Brown at that stage, who was only just in front of Isabel Bannister. So we'll get some splits as they go through, as Sophie starts her final lap. But just an update on those times and the finishes and the boys. So Ivan de Bauer, he finished in 58.13. Luke Kugellein, he finished in 58.59 with a 17.24 run split. And then Will Taylor, he came through in an 18.16 run split to finish just under the hour in 59.55. But it's awesome to see. Everyone's woken up. Like you said, they've had their eggs Benny down at Tay Street Cafe, and they've got their flat whites and are out here watching them. And we're only 7 minutes away, I believe, from the start of the elite race.
Yeah, coming in very quick, and you could see just from that drone shot some of the women coming into round the transition marker for the last time, heading out onto the run. So a reminder, it's a 5k run with the sprint triathlon, 4 laps of about 1.25k, and we've got some of the male finishers finishing off their race. Welcome sign of the Suzuki finish line here at the Oceania Continental Cup.
Yeah, and I just put a split on the girls there, so it was about 148 back to Lulu. So
Sophie's pulling away.
She's pulling away again. So yes, I would believe it's going to finish in that order at the moment, unless something happens on this last lap, which I very much doubt. With Sophie's going to probably take out the win with Lulu, and then we'll try and get a visual back to third place and let you know who that is.
But a bit closer this time, which will give some of those girls behind her a bit of encouragement. But Sophie Spencer, she's the woman of the moment. She's having a wonderful fortnight of racing. Came first by a long way last week in New Plymouth, and here she has all the roads to herself in Mount Maunganui. Coming up, she will hit Cafe Corner and then swing a right-hand turn, and then it won't be too long to the finish line from there. So Sophie Spencer running very well. Good.
And I can tell you that, Charlotte Brown's moved away now from Bannister, from Isabel Bannister, and she's got a gap of about 25 seconds to her now, so she looks like she's securing that third and final podium spot with 1 lap to go on the run. Just as we see Lucas Reed finishing. He's finished in the top 10 today in this very competitive under-19 boys race.
So all these boys welcoming each other into the finish line. Great scenes, a lot of camaraderie out there, a lot of support from each of the athletes. You know, the competitors out on the racetrack, but when they get back in, they return to training partners, and a lot of these guys are best mates, having raced together through their high school years. And Sophie Spencer, she's rounded that last turn, and here she comes towards home. She'll have about 200 metres to run. From this point, she'll be able to see the finish line, she'll be able to hear the music at the transition area, and she is looking in a bit of pain, but that's what you want to be feeling at this stage in a triathlon. If you're not hurting at this stage, you haven't done it right, and she has done everything right here today. Good swim, great bike, and she's continued that form on the bike out onto a very impressive run. Now is that second place there, Lulu Johnson, just heading out on the other side of the road, potentially. But it is all about Sophie Spencer. Here she comes up towards the food trucks, and from the food trucks, it's about 100 metres to go.
Yeah, she's had a very, very good day, and this is going to set her up for later in the year when she gets to Montreal, and I know she's heading off to Europe to do some more racing. So, yeah, a very good summer, in good shape at the moment, and a well-deserved win today.
So backing up her victory last week at New Plymouth is Sophie Spencer. She will take the Oceania Cup Junior Female Race, raises her hands underneath the Suzuki banner. What a wonderful race she's had once more again. And she'll go and take a little rest over on the fence, and it's a well-deserved rest, because that was a solo effort out there. Had no company on the bike, no company on the run, but really a good test of that mental fortitude to just go through her own processes, stick to her own race plan, and it has paid off once more.
You know, she looked good all day, swim, bike and run, and, you know, she kept that gap. She had the 3 girls chasing her all day, and she, you know, she was very, very solid on that first lap. She opened up 40 seconds. Those girls got together on the second lap. They nullified it, kept it about 1:30 off the bike, and, you know, I mean, she's probably ran, looked like, you know, last time she went through, she had about 10, 15 seconds she'd ran into Lulu, but, yeah, I'd say the Lulu's going to come through in second place. And last time they went through, we had Charlotte Brown sitting in third, followed by Isabel Bannister, who's sitting in fourth place.
So an 11:04 swim, 33:18 on the bike, and a 19:06 for that 5K, making a 1:04, which is 5 minutes quicker than New Plymouth. So that gives you a bit of a gauge on how much quicker this course is to last week.
Yep.
The challenge of the hills and the wind and the more technical corners. So good racing conditions here at Mount Maunganui. And look, it's not too hot either. Most people are out here in T-shirts and shorts, but you're really not going to be complaining too much. Now we turn our attention to the elite field. 9:40 we kick off with the elite men, and then 2 minutes later for the elite women, as we can see Lulu Johnson coming through for second place at this junior female Oceania Continental Cup on our home turf. She will take second. Great run from Lulu. We had those 3 women all together. What was the split to that? Did we get a difference?
Yeah, so 156. So, you know, she's ran within about 20 seconds of Sophie, but as you see those splits coming up on the screen there, she's ran a 19:16 today to finish in 1:06:35.
So good run there from Lulu to claim that second place. And all important today, trying to get spots on. There's definitely two spots up for grabs for the junior champs in late June in Canada.
Yeah, she'll be putting, you know, there's a big hand up to go, hey, I want to go to Worlds and see where I'm at. And, yeah, we just have to see what the selectors do in regards to how big a team they send and what our quota is once we get out of that from the Oceania Championships in about 3 weeks' time in a place called Werribee, just outside of Melbourne in Australia.
And we believe this will be Charlotte Brown coming into the finish here. She's got about 80 metres to run to the finish line. This will be a well-deserved third place. Here she is, Charlotte Brown, third place in the Junior Women's Oceania Continental Cup. It was so close with those 3 women on the bike. We knew it was going to be a good battle for second and third, and it really came down to that running race. And in fourth place will be Izzy Bannister.
Yeah, this is one of our boys, I think, that's making his way to the finish. But, yeah, it was Izzy Bannister last time that was sort of holding fourth and a good fourth back to fifth. So
here she is. Yeah, here she comes now up to the finish. So she'll have to settle for fourth place, but it was good, close racing with those 3 women on the bike. And it really did come down to that run. Sophie has recovered from her finish, and she goes in and greets her competitors. And we will turn our attention now to the big feature races of today. The elite men, the elite women going off at 9:40. So any second now they will get the call up to the start line. And there we see Hayden Wild in the Orca suit. This is his home turf. He had such a strong bike last weekend, pulling away from that field. He was attacking every time he got to anything looking like a hill. He was on the front of that pack and ended up pulling away and holding it on with a good, strong run. But there will be a lot of boys who will be looking at this, the surf rolling in. We've got some 1 foot rollers coming in, and we've got the intro for these boys coming in now.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mount Maunganui Oceania Triathlon Cup. Please welcome the race technical officials leading the technical team today, technical delegate Kyle Davey and head referee Brian Dunphy. So, introducing the athletes. Winner of the New Plymouth Oceania Cup last week, the Olympic bronze medalist from Tokyo 2020, Hayden Wild. Wearing 32, winner of the Antwerp World Cup in 2019, second place last week, Taylor Reid. Wearing 33, fourth place at the New Plymouth Oceania Cup, Trent Thorpe. 34, Saxon Morgan. Wearing number 35, gold medalist at the 2018 Buenos Aires Youth Olympic Games, Dylan McCulloch. Wearing 36, Lachlan Haycock. 37, Janis Stauffenberg. Representing the Czech Republic, number 38, David Martin. Number 39, representing Canada, Josiah Ney. Number 40, Austin Carter. Number 41, Christian Davey. Number 44, James Corbett. And introducing our elite woman, third place at the Antwerp World Cup in 2019, fourth last week at the New Plymouth Oceania Cup, Ainsley Thorpe. Wearing 53, winner of the Santo Domingo World Cup in 2019, second place last week, Andrea Hansen. Wearing 54, the Oceania Junior Women's Sprint Champ in 2019, Hannah Knighton. Number 55, representing Belgium, Anna de Vet. Number 56, Bria Roderick. Number 57, Ava Goodison. Number 58, Olivia Thornbury. Number 59, Hannah Howe. Number 60, Angharad Llewellyn. Number 61, Madison Kitely. Number 62, Amara Ray. Number 63, Olivia Cummings. And number 64, Deb Fuller.
Metre swim. So you are tuned in to the Oceania Continental Cup here at Mount Maunganui. 3 weekends back to back of elite triathlon racing. This is the second of those that sort of tri-series of domestic triathlon racing, and this is a key one for these boys. We had the local boy Hayden Wild take it out, and here they go out into the water, out through this sort of 1 foot of surf. They'll have to do a bit of ducking and diving to navigate these early breakers, and then it's out into some clean open water swimming. So Stephen Sheldrake, talk us through this swim. We've got a lot of really quality athletes lining up in this one. Are we going to see anything different from last week?
Not 2 laps, so you nullify sort of the weighting and the running that sort of takes away from the swim portion of that 750 metres, and just that one big gap. And you see, you know, a little bit more spread out even this week compared to last week, and you know, still like a little bit of a wave running through coming on the way back. You saw at the end of that junior boys race that little wave that came through and just sort of split them up a little bit. So we'll be keeping an eye out in about 8 minutes time to see if that happens again here in this race. But yeah, when we get a visual on who this is, we expect to see the likes of Dylan McCulloch, Taylor Reid, and front back swimmer Hayden Wild last week.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a surprise, but he's been working hard on his swimming, and probably not a surprise to himself. And yeah, he definitely showed himself last week that he's worthy of being up in that front pack now.
Now, so here's the women all set to roll. So we've got Ainsley Thorpe, Andrea Henson, formerly Andrea Hewitt, of course, Hannah Knighton, Hannah de Vet, Bria Roderick, Eva Goodison, Olivia Thornbury, Hannah Howell, Angharad Llewellyn, Madison Kitely, Amara Ray, Olivia Cummings, and Deb Fuller on the start line here. So remember, last week was taken out by Nicole van der Kay. She is resting this week with a little niggle, and we'll get to have a little chat to Nicole soon because she's currently devouring a delicious looking scone behind me. So we'll get her in the booth very shortly to talk through this race. But these women about to go out into the Pacific Ocean. 750 metre swim awaits them, and it's a good swim with 300 metres out to that first buoy. Then they swing a left, and good timing there too, a good little set coming through. So they'll have to navigate some of those breakers going over those waves. And there's the porpoise diving. A mixture of techniques. You saw down the far end of the field, it was the very long levers of Eva Goodison, who sort of made use of those longer legs and waded out a bit further. But yeah, I think we're getting a shot of the boys here. We've got 2 arrowheads at the moment. We've got some on the right, some on the left, and
yeah, they're making their way out to that first buoy at about 350 metres out at the moment. As I said before, we're expecting, it looks like we've got a Dylan McCulloch on the front there, on that left part of the arrow, and it's definitely Taylor Reid just moving up beside him at the moment. And then on the right side, I would expect that to be Trent Thorpe, and they're just making their way out. And yeah, quite closely packed there at the moment. Looks like there's only a gap of about 8-9 seconds from the front to the back.
And potentially those arrowheads just coming together as we get very close to this first buoy. But wonderful drone shots here from the team, showing that blue Pacific Ocean. It's such a great place to be in the water, and these guys all coming together. And is there a slight gap once we get round this buoy? Maybe there's a bit of a chance for an acceleration for these top 5 swimmers to put a bit of a gap on the rest of the pack. But as a gauge from last week, we had Dylan McCulloch take out the swim in 9:50, but then we had a group of boys just 8 and 9 seconds behind them, which included Hayden Wild. And this really is the story today. If anyone's going to be able to take down Hayden Wild, it really needs to be a break at this stage in the race, you'd think.
Oh, definitely. Last week, he went out of transition second last week, so, all the stories beforehand about how we're going to get away from him in the swim were nullified straight away. And, we saw last week on that very hard, hilly course how strong a rider he is. And he, as I said last week, he wanted to take it to the swim, the bike and the run, and he did that. And he had a big lead. It was like just over 2 minutes, I believe, back to Taylor Reid in second, followed by Dylan McCulloch in third. And then we had a pack that was about 2 minutes down last week coming off the bike, a group of about 7-8 of them that, they ran together in the run as well. And I think we had a Trent Thorpe in fourth, and Jana Strassenberg in fifth, and Saxon Morgan in sixth. So they're going to want to get in that front pack today, and we're going to potentially see a very, very different race today with a bigger pack coming together off the bike.
Yeah.
Not these 1s and 2s that we had in New Plymouth. And we're going to get a real fast run race, and we're going to see some sub-15s today off the bike.
It's beautiful swimming conditions here. I've got to say, my local pool has more chop on it than the Pacific Ocean right now. It's just wonderful conditions, early morning, very little breeze to talk of, maybe just a light offshore blowing in. But it is, there's no place you'd rather be than out in the water here at Mount Maunganui for the sprint. Oceania Continental Cup. This is the elite men and women. We've got the men at the top right hand corner of your screen, and then bottom corner of the screen, that's the women, and we've got a good bunch of women just leading things out. Now, of course, we don't have Nicole van der Kay out in the water. We have her in the commentary booth today, so that is great news to have her, and so she'll be able to give us some good heads up of what's happening. But before that, we're going to go to a little interview with the winner of the junior females race very shortly.
Cool, so we're joined here by the first place winner of the junior girls race, Sophie Spencer. How was that?
It was pretty tough out there today, very different to last weekend's race. It was hard being on my own, but managed to pull through pretty hot on the run. But yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun in the surf, and yeah.
Happy with how that's all building for another race next week, I imagine?
Oh, I'm not doing Taupo next weekend anymore. I'm racing in Australia in a few weeks' time, so decided not to do Taupo, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, good enough. Good luck for the rest of the season. We'll join with second place. You're good to go, Sophie. Join with second place, Lulu Johnson. First thoughts on how that race went?
Honestly, I'm just really stoked. That's probably the best way to summarise that race for me, yeah.
I think it's definitely a build on how you went last week. So were you expecting that at all?
Definitely not. No, I had a really average race last weekend. My mental game was just all over the place, so I just kind of tried to breathe before I went into this one and just make the most of every opportunity I was kind of given, yeah.
So is there anything else for you planned this season?
No, that's me done, yeah.
Cool, well done. We'll go join Charlotte Brown, third place today. First thoughts?
That race was a lot different to last week. Last week, as well as Lulu, I had a very mental struggle, ended up walking on the run, but this week pulled through and absolutely kicked it.
Got to be happy with 2 podiums in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's great.
Are you lining up again next week?
Yeah, so I'll be down in Taupo and then heading off to Australia with Sophie.
Nice, good work today. Well done.
So cool to hear from those women in the junior competition that finished up just a few minutes ago. Now on screen we have the men coming into the final little stages of this race. Now Nicole Vanderkay, welcome to the commentary booth. I'm very good. How are you? Now we might get you to just swap headsets. There we go. That one should be working a bit better.
Hello. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, cool. Good to have you in. Now I understand you're just resting up the body after last weekend's great performance.
Yes. I had a great race last weekend. I felt great. Unfortunately, my body got hit a bit hard, and I really had to prioritise recovery. My body just seized up a bit on me and had a few niggles that flared up. But
you had to do a bit of work to get ahead of those girls. It was such a great race, and I've been talking to a lot of people about how awesome that women's race, just the tacks on the bike and then 4 coming off together on the run. So cool.
Yeah, no, it was epic to have the quality of field that strong in New Zealand. It's definitely what we need leading into this year and in the future too. Yeah.
Now, talking about great racing, look at this. We've got 5 men all side by side, and look, this is, we talked about the one way to get away from Hayden Wild is to ditch him on the swim, and is that him just at the back potentially of running number 7th? We'll get some splits coming through very soon, but there we have Dylan McCulloch right up the front as he was last week. Taylor Reid's right there. Thorpe's right there as well. So all the guns from last weekend. Janus Staffenberg, Josiah Nye, David Martin. We've got Saxon Morgan. And then number 8, Hayden Wild. He is 11 seconds off the pack. What do you think it is? Hayden can pull that back, surely.
Well, what we saw from last weekend is he has definitely got some riding legs on him. He took that whole bike course by himself, so he's not afraid to attack and attack hard. There's definitely a long transition here, so knowing Hayden, he'll be working it hard, running through hard, trying to make all those seconds count, and yeah, he'll definitely attack it.
All right, so Hayden Wild has gone through in 8th place. He'll have just a little bit of work to do, and then he'll be on the pack. And probably as we thought it would play out, is how it's playing out. It was a flat water swim and not a hang of a lot of surf to split things up. And of course the wetsuit adds a little bit of a benefit for those non-purebred swimmers to keep tabs with it. Now here's the women's race. Now talk us through what we're seeing on screen here, Nicole.
So it looks like Ainsley Thorpe's in the lead from what I see, and I think Ava's in second, touching shoulders with, I'm not sure who that could be. It could be Olivia. The girls are all in one big pack, so it's looking like it's just going to be, might even come down to a running race today.
This is a beautiful little arrowhead forming, and you can see a little bit of tussling in there at 4th and 5th, that second set of toes. Now talk us through like what it's like when there's a lot of splashing going on, you're trying to hold someone's toes. Like, is that really important to stay in that position where you ride on tickling someone's feet?
Yeah, definitely. So Ainsley's in a great position here. She's got no shoulders to actually bump shoulders with, She's got no one to fight for the lead, and no one's even challenging her. So she's getting clear strokes, whereas the 2 girls behind her are just fighting to stay on the feet. They'll be knocking arms, knocking shoulders, not being as smooth, just trying to get those feet and save energy. But they're both in great positions, so I don't see how they won't form a group very quickly on the bike.
Look at those beautiful water conditions. You can see right to the bottom, you'll be able to see crabs and fish.
Hopefully nothing else.
Hopefully nothing else. But I'm sure they won't be paying too much attention to what's on the bottom, because this is all about the racing. And as we've seen, just
Ava's up first. Yep.
Yeah, Ava's up first. So you can see the long levers of Ava Goodison now getting through the surf. Yeah. So she will be the first out of the water, it looks like. And then it's Ainsley Thorpe just next to her.
Yep. So she had a great exit out of the water. Her surf skills kicking in very well. And it looks like Olivia Thornbury in third. I guess the timing will come through in 1 second. and Ainsley's running through, really working her transitions. This is key, especially overseas. Every second counts, so 3 seconds can mean a whole bunch.
Now we talk about Hayden Wild being the one that you want to drop on the swim. I imagine Andrea is the one that you want to drop in the women's race.
Yes.
Any ideas where Andrea is? Have we had a glimpse?
Here we go, the names coming through. Eva Goodison first, Olivia Thornberry, Bria Roderick, Hannah Knighton, Madison Keatley, Hannah DeVette, Olivia Cummings, Andrea Hansen,
There we
Hannah
go.
Howe.
8th place. So same again. Hayden Wild came through in 8th place. Andrea Hansen, formerly Andrea Hewitt, one of the absolute legends of New Zealand triathlon. She turns 40 tomorrow. Can you believe it? And she's still racing with all these young guns. Puts the wetsuit in the bag. She's done this millions of times. She can do this in her sleep. So
Isn't she a legend?
There she goes. So onto the bike now. What's your thoughts? Is this going to all come together? We've got 9 women all pretty close to each other.
Yeah, I think, the girls up front, if they're smart, they'd really try and kick this first five minutes, really try and power away from Andrea, but she is a legend. She is so strong. She is going to make her way up to the front, I would say.
Now, I have to talk to you, first of all, have you ever had an Andrea Hewitt poster up on your wall or had a signed autograph from her when you're a junior, something like that?
I actually haven't, to be honest, but she's always been a legend.
Yeah.
She is amazing. Like, everyone knows who she is. She's just notorious in triathlon. So to
good.
do my first games with her was incredible, and I just, idolise her. She's so cool.
How cool was that racing last weekend, heading up the hill in New Plymouth and seeing, one of the all-time goats of New Zealand triathlon trying to break it apart on the bike?
I loved it, To be honest, I love a hard bike because I like to run hard off a hard bike. Cool. So to see her attacking, I knew exactly what she was doing, and I just loved it.
As we see Deb Fuller and Amara Rai just coming in to transition.
Now, Deb's a long-distance athlete, so it's pretty cool to see her coming along and racing these shorter tries. She is a great cyclist, so she will not be afraid to power up and try and catch these girls, and also a really handy runner.
So out they go onto the bike. So we've got a 20k bike ride, and then it is just a 5k run to finish up. Now, Nicole Vanderkay is in studio with us, and we have to talk about what else is to come. You would think, hopefully, if the selectors are smart, they'll be booking you a ticket to the Com Games. So obviously that's a big focus. What else have you got lined up for the year? What can we expect?
Yeah, so definitely, hopefully, first qualifying. That's announced on the 20th from my memory. But working towards it's a huge year for me. If you look at the race calendar, there's endless amounts of opportunities to race on the international stage. I would like to be going on to multiple World Triathlon Series racing, Montreal, Leeds, hopefully getting selected for the teams, and then continuing to perform in teams. And then hopefully a little bit more racing throughout the year too. I've got an eye on a few pretty cool ones, but we have to wait and see if I get selected for them.
Yeah. And body's feeling like it's recovering okay. Do you think we'll see you in Taupo?
Yeah, that's the plan. Definitely. I've had quite a few therapy sessions where my body's getting beat down, and I've also been doing a lot of prehab rehab. Cool. So unfortunately my body just wasn't able to respond fast enough, but I'm learning, and hopefully that won't happen later in the year, and because those are the main focuses. Yeah.
And it looks like we've got a little breakaway here on the bike. So we had 8 men all together, but it looks like one rider has gone clear.
David Martin has attacked the boys. He is very handy on a bike, and looks like he's putting it to them and challenging them and asking if anyone wants to come with him.
Now, we saw Hayden Wild happy to sit at the back. Now, I've got a little bit of an inside scoop here. He's been given the orders not to go hard on the bike.
Wow.
And to save it all for the run. So this will add another little interesting factor how that one plays out. So he's going to see how the pack responds to those attacks, and maybe, you know, that opens the door for the likes of a David Martin to take a bit of a lead. Now, what are we seeing on screen here? The girls have done the turn and they're making their way back towards the transition area on their first lap.
So that's Brie Roderick just pulling off the front, Olivia Thornberry, Hannah Knighton, Ainsley Thorpe, and we're not sure if there's someone else, but there is a gap, definitely. So there could be girls close behind, but can't quite see yet.
Interesting to see if Ava's managed to get onto that gap. She was sort of just going at T2 in third position there, so she may have been a victim of the fast pace of this first lap, but we'll get a visual soon as they come around and go from there.
So it looks like those 4 women are all head-to-head and taking it out and, you know, head down and working pretty well as a team. This little pace line trying to get this going.
That's beautiful. They're really just touching the front and then rolling off, and that's what you need to do to keep that pace fast. You don't need to pull big turns, just keep the pace rolling. And looks like, Madison Keatley, she's a younger girl coming through, so that's awesome that she's still there.
Yeah, she's had a very good opening lap. She's coached by Tammy Reid out of Palmerston North, and this is really good experience for her.
So it looks like 5 wheels all together. We will get an update of where Andrea Henson is. She wasn't too far behind. Remember, there was 9 women coming reasonably close together, only 10 to 15 seconds separating them at T1. So you would think that would come together, but those girls are doing very well at the front. Now, has David Martin been reeled in as we go back to the girls?
So this will be interesting with the boys to see. Now, the boys know Hayden's one of the strongest in the field and strongest in the world. If he doesn't take a lead at front, what will the other boys do? Will they do work, or will they follow the lead of the leader?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if they're racing for second. You know, they're in a mindset of racing for second. You can know that Hayden's in there, but some very good runners of those boys in there. A couple of the boys that didn't quite make the pack last week in New Plymouth have managed to get into that front group now, and they're going to. It's going to come a foot race, and there's going to be at least 7-8 of those boys coming off into T2 together as we see Christian Davey just finishing off his first lap and making his way back out.
So doing it solo is Christian, but these women are definitely not doing it solo. There's a good little pack up the front here with, that's Bria Roderick riding second wheel, and we've got Ainsley Thorpe, Hannah Knighton, Olivia Thornberry, Madison Kitely, and those 5 will be doing their absolute best to try and keep the legend Andrea Hansen at bay, because they'll be well aware of her running pedigree as well.
Yeah, so we had about it looked like a 25-second lead from the front to Andrea as they exited the water. So we'll get a split as they come through. They'll be talking with each other, and it looks like David Martin's just sitting on the back of that pack there. So they've managed to catch him back up. But there's potentially 2 more boys just up the front there trying to get away. And it's a bit like the junior boys race. You've got the athletes who don't believe that they can run as fast as everybody else, that they're going to try and get away, as we see the first of the girls just coming in now, and we'll get a split at the turn and give you a gap back to Andrea and see if she's managed to close any of that 25-second gap on that first lap.
So the 5 women come round to complete their first lap out on the bike, and we have we'll hopefully get a little visual on where Andrea is here, but we'll definitely fill you in with the split. But Ainsley Thorpe, Hannah Knighton, Bria Roderick, Olivia Thornberry and Madison Kitely are doing a great job at trying to distance themselves from the other women behind them.
And I have a feeling that was Ava Goodison on Andrea's wheel, and she's in a great place. You know Andrea's strong. She has the potential to drag you up to front pack.
Yeah,
and
it was
those
16
2 girls can run.
16 seconds down. So,
16 seconds with how many more laps left?
So that's 1 lap down, 3 to go.
3 to go.
Yeah.
We will see in the next lap if they can close that, or if the other girls open it up.
Well, very exciting stuff.
Yeah, it looks like Ava might have had a little bit of problems on that first lap, not getting her feet in quite as quick, because she definitely went out of the out at T1 in third place. So they've managed, obviously, Bria and I believe Ainsley was forcing the pace as they left the transition, and Ava didn't manage to get on, but she's got the help of Andrea, hopefully drag her back up there.
Now, Nicole, I do have to ask you about how your 2021 went, because that was a pretty fantastic year for you. Olympic Games, obviously, going to Tokyo, and then getting that second place at Hamburg. Those two must have been some pretty massive lifetime highlights.
Yeah, it was a pretty bizarre year. It definitely started off slower than I would have liked to in the start of the year. I unfortunately came down with concussion. And then we didn't have any international races leading into Olympics, so that was pretty bizarre, having no racing under my belt before the biggest race in my life.
Just straight in the deep end, eh?
Basically. And usually after the Olympics, you have a big break, but that was just the start of my season and multiple other athletes. This is the boys coming through. It looks like there's still 2 boys just ahead of the group.
Yeah, a little bit of a break forming, and the fact that I can't see a wild on any of those names suggests to me that Hayden's been lured into either that front pack or chasing down that front pack. So maybe coach's orders from Craig Kirkwood have been tucked away in the back pocket for a little while. But good to see some breaks and some attacks on that top 8 bunch of boys up the front, and that is going to be a very exciting race to see how that unfolds. And we're trying to get an update on whether Andrea has caught up to this group of 5. And there we can see Hayden Wild on the front pack of the boys. Now, is that finishing off lap number 3? It is, isn't it?
No, I think at 23 minutes it's probably only lap number 2.
Right, that was lap number 2, so halfway through.
But Hayden's not listening to his coach, but it looks of things, and he's tacking off the front at the moment. So, you know what I mean?
He's breaking Josiah's just yo-yoing off the back. So it looks like he's starting to put some power down. And I have a feeling it's going to come down to a running race, so the other boys will definitely be playing the tactics game to save all their matches for the run.
So here we are in this beautiful location of Mount Maunganui. It's such a summer destination, and as we conclude our summer of triathlon here in Tauranga, and then next week in Taupo, we have just perfect conditions for racing, and these 5 women are enjoying these still conditions, a chance to get these pace lines sorted and get them well organised to stay clear of Ava Goodison and Andrea Hansen behind them, who both got 2nd and 3rd last week. So these women will understand the threat that waits just a few seconds behind them on the road.
Yeah, 16 seconds last time, 25 out of the water, so she made up 9 seconds on that first lap. But I wouldn't be surprised, as Nicole's been saying, she has the ability to ride across. But this front group's working well. This is really good to see that they're having this sort of 5 seconds on the front, they're rotating, and it doesn't look like anyone's really missing a turn. We've got the younger athlete, Keatley, in there as well, so she'll be learning, and this will be her first time that she's ever been in the front pack of a drafting elite race like this before, so it's all great learnings for the future for her. And that large pack of the boys, will be interesting to see if they're going to let Hayden roll away and just go, hey, we're racing for 2nd like we have been for the last year or so, or they're actually going to chase him down. Nicole, your partner's Taylor Reid. He got 2nd last weekend. Any inside goss in regards to how he's going to tactically play today?
Yeah, well, not too sure really. I think he was just planning on taking that swim really hard, but again, they're all on the bike together, so looks like it's just going to be a running race.
Yeah, looks like we've got the camera on.
David Martin's doing his best to make sure it's not just a running race. He looks like he's off the front now and putting in a bit of a surge here, trying to get some break. And really it is the middle stages of this bike leg that it needs to, if you're going to have a break, you want it to be earlier rather than later to make it stick.
It's always nice when you have a good solid ride. You can see if people think it's going to be a running race, they'll really button off and just not even take any lead. So you can really dawdle around a bit if it's no one's taking charge, and David's taking that up, and he's not afraid to work hard, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's playing to his strengths. You know, I mean, he's not the fastest runner in that group. He was 4th off the bike last weekend in New Plymouth, and I think he ended up in about 8th place or 9th place from memory. 7th place.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like, hey, I want to do better this week. I need a bit of a gap on the run, and it's good to see some international flavour in these events today. So David Martin, he's based out of Palmerston North, but he races for the Czech Republic. We've also got Josiah Ney, who's racing for Canada, and in the ladies' race we've got Hannah de Vet, who races for Belgium, who's the partner of Hayden Wild. So a bit of international flavour down here in Mount Maunganui today.
Great to see these scenes of a well-organised pace line here in the cycle leg of this, what is really the second race of this tri-series of racing. We had a great race in New Plymouth in the windy conditions, tackling the hills, and this week we're on the flat here at Mount Maunganui, and it is just perfect racing conditions and perfect spectating conditions. We've got a good little crowd there, lots of families coming down, walking the dog, picking up their flat whites, and checking out the wonderful racing. So, Nicole, you were talking about the Olympics and how it was strange. You go straight into racing from nothing and dealing with isolations and COVID
very,
things.
very different, so we hadn't actually been overseas with COVID and everything, so at that stage we were extremely protected. So we were overseas all masked up and getting rat tests every day and checking all that, but we're very safe within the village. And look at that, those two girls, looks like Andrea doing a lot of work, have bridged up. So even though Ava might have had trouble getting her feet in, she's had a teammate to bring her up.
So it looks like probably 40-50 metres back to them. We've got a little split clock running, thanks Stephen Sheldrake, he's onto it. And you would think with the power of Andrea and that experience, she'll just be confident that she can reel it in, but it's no easy task because these girls are well organised at the front. They're prepared to take their turns knowing that there are two very good runners behind them.
8 seconds. It's, they've got a visual now, and the front ones will be going, did I wrong? We might as well just wait for it, basically. But it'll be, I always say you've got $20 to spend on a triathlon, and how much has Andrea spent on the swim and how much she's now spent on the bike to get back up to that front. And, Ava might be going, hey, I ran within 7 seconds last weekend with you. I've just sat on you. You've dragged me back across. I'm going to give you a go this week and see if I can outrun you.
And also those front girls, they haven't used as much energy, so there's some quick runners up front, and they haven't used as much as Andrea may have on that bike. So
definitely, and then there's some of these boys here as well. Same sort of story, There's been a few boys like David Martin trying to tack off. We've seen Hayden try and get off the front as well, and we've had a few boys here just collecting tickets on the back and saving themselves for the run. And we'll see soon when they come off the back of the bike how important T2 is. That ability to get out and not have to sprint across to the front of the group, as we see Hannah de Vet, it's the partner of Hayden Wild, and I think it might be Olivia Cummings.
Olivia,
both training partners here, so two of Craig Kirkwood's athletes here just riding together. I dare say they've done a number of training sessions together, and this is like another training day at Mount Maunganui for them. A little bit harder, but they're riding well together at the moment.
Yeah, good to have this great crowd support here in Mount Maunganui in these great conditions. And as we see, we are getting close to the final stages of this bike ride.
And
it looks like Ava's just come through there. So maybe, I'm not quite sure who's on Andrea's wheel, but we'll try and find out who it is. Potentially, it might be Hannah Howell. Hannah Howell is a young athlete at Taupo who went out just behind her out of transition. I believe it's Hannah Howell, and something may have happened to Ava. She may have had a mechanical or might be not feeling the greatest today, but we see the boys that are starting their last lap of the ride. They've done 15k, and all those little breaks have been nullified, and it's going to be the fast and furious in about 6 minutes time when they come back into T2.
It'll be also awesome to see how who is Olivia goes, because last week she unfortunately got dizzy and fell off her bike. So
really?
Yeah, so
That's
she's back
good.
on the start line. Was all cleared. Awesome to hear, and she is one strong athlete from the South Island, so it'll be really cool to see how she does today.
Yeah, she actually got she's raced a couple of times this summer leading into this event. She actually beat Andrea in one of the races.
She cycled faster, I saw.
Yeah.
Put a few minutes into her, so she's a strong athlete. and she might have the benefit of not racing last weekend, a little bit fresher. She's got something to prove. She's got, motivation. So she could be the one to watch today.
A bit like her partner and boyfriend, Jana Strassenberg, both athletes, good athletes, but also very intelligent people, both got into medical school this year as well. So, Jana's
on now.
is... so
and
they've done
Hannah
the work.
Howe, yeah, you're right. So that's awesome. She's from Taupo, coached by Cam Paul. She'll be stoked to be there. So two of the younger ones, Madison and Hannah. It is awesome to see.
Right, so we have a team of 7 athletes up the front with Ainsley Thorpe, Andrea Hansen, Hannah Knighton, Bria Roderick, Olivia Thornbury, Hannah Howell and Madison Keatley. So 7 athletes in the women's race, 8 athletes in the men's race. It's definitely going to come down to a burner on the run. That 5K run is going to be absolutely electric. And we need to put the split clock on that one because that is going to be some PB material in terms of how fast these run legs will need to go to get onto the podium for this. Expect those boys to need to run under 15 minutes to crack that top 3.
Well, we got a Hayden White with a PB of, was it 13:29? I believe is PB on the trackers. So this is not after a 7:50 swim and 20k ride, but
they're all sitting on them too. They know that it's going to be a running race, so it's definitely who's the smartest, and I think they'll be slowing right down on this lap.
So Ainsley Thorpe leading things out there with Bria Roderick just on her wheel, and that we continue this good little pace line that we've had all morning long in this women's race, but it has grown in numbers. So Andrea and Hannah doing really well to just pull themselves up into this front pack, which is good timing really in terms of being able to sit in, maybe freshen up the legs.
Well, it looks like Andrew's really taking the front, so...
Straight to the front.
Yeah, looks like her legs aren't sore at all, Look out.
I mean, she turns 40 tomorrow and she's...
Age is no barrier.
Yeah. She's a mum. What a machine. Absolutely pulling her back into contention in this race.
And how cool is it to see these younger athletes? Got Hannah Howell from Taupo pulling through, and Madison Keatley out of Palmerston North still having their turns. They're not sitting on the back going, hey, we don't deserve to be here. We're going to learn, we're going to help contribute to this group and keep the pace nice and high, and great races for them so far.
It's a beautiful train. They're working really well together, so they're not easing off, whereas the boys are kind of just sitting up and looking around and knowing that if they pull the turn, like, no one's going to come around them. And
you watch the last 2k of the bike though, the boys are going to really ramp it up, and it just being into T2 first is so important in regards to just getting the outer transition first, not getting caught up in everyone and having to wait, and just getting some free mileage up the road without having to light matches to get across to that front group. But we got the likes of Hayden Wild, and I wouldn't be surprised if he opens the first kilometre in that 2:40, 2:42, and it'll be interesting to see which boys want to go out with him.
Now, I did go through just with the off chance that we could see one of the fastest ever run splits in a sprint triathlon, and Mario Mola owns the fastest ever sprint triathlon of 51.15, and that was finished with a 14.25 5K.
Hamburg Triathlon, I dare say, one of the fastest courses in the world, and when Nicole got second last year, it's a very, very fast run course.
Yeah. Now let's talk about that before letting you go today. How good was that second place?
That was one incredible race. I knew I was in good form the week before I raced in FGP, which is French racing. I was just behind Rappaport and Daudet and Olmo. We ran really quick and just freshening up a little bit more for Hamburg, and I knew I was ready to race.
Cool. It was such a good performance. Now, this will be the woman coming around to take the turn for the last time and head out onto the bike course. So we've got 7 women all riding together. Last week it was 4 women hammering up the hills of New Plymouth. This time it's 7 women all riding together on these flat, smooth roads here at Mount Maunganui, and a little bit of a surge out of that bend, getting up out of the saddle, hammering the pedals for the last 5K journey on this bike leg, and no doubt that pack will come back together again. But This is going to be a wonderful race. It really is. Andrea Hansen, the experience of Andrea Hansen going up against the youthful, fresh legs of the other 6 women. It's going to be such a great race. So don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Now the boys here, they have 8 boys all close together. Hayden Wild's been under coach's instructions to behave himself on the bike and not do anything silly and save himself for the run. And that has played a part in keeping this pack together. We have had a few attacks go off the front, but they've been reeled in, particularly by David Martin, who's been quite active at the front of the bike. But they will come into that transition area you can see just down near the marquees on your screen for the last time, and they will rack their bikes, and then it will be 5k to go to see who's got the best run legs amongst these 8 boys.
Watch this. This is exciting. Just look at the experience. You've had Taylor Reid, Hayden Wild, Trent Thorpe through the and McCulloch on the back. Hayden's just now creeping forward to the front. You'll see Taylor Reid and Trent Thorpe make their way to the front very, very soon, because we've only got about 1.5k, 2k before they need to rack their bikes.
Yeah, and slip your feet out too, so it's really important to be in a good position. Some boys already have, so they're ready to... Yeah, there
Looks
we
like
go.
we had a slight delay, and it's caught back up again as David Martin, followed by Taylor Reid and Saxon Morgan, have hit the front of the front pack here, and they're just making their way in.
Right, so here we go into T2. This is the business end of this race, particularly with the flat and still conditions on hand. We had a feeling that it would come down to a running race, and now there's 8 men all racking their bikes to each other, all putting their shoes on together. Who's been practicing their T2 skills? And they are off, and it is Hayden Wild in the lead. No, Saxon Morgan, then closely followed by Taylor Reid. Jana Stauffenberg's there, Dylan McCulloch's there as well, 3rd place last week in Taranaki. Now there's Hayden Wild, he's putting the foot down, he's got a few seconds to make up. You'd think he would have the run legs to do that, but it is the top 8, Josiah Nate, Hayden Wild, David Martin, Trent Thorpe, Jana Stauffenberg, Dylan McCulloch, Taylor Reid, Saxon Morgan. They are your runners out on the run course, 5k to home.
Yeah, Saxon Morgan's taken out real fast. All these boys have something to prove today, so they're making a hard run. And Taylor's in 2nd.
And we've got a little bit of a break potentially here on the women's bike leg. They have 1 lap left to go.
Yeah, looked like Hannah Knighton was off first. She'll be making the bike hard because I'm not sure she'll be entering the run today, so she may as well go off hard and see who wants to come with her.
Yeah, and a few of our runners going the wrong direction here, getting good directions from the marshals, so good to see being steered in the right direction. So we've had Lachlan Haycock, Austin Carter, James Corbett. There you can see Lachlan Haycock heading out onto the run. Now coming to the front with Saxon Morgan on the lead is Hayden Wild. He was under coach's instructions to save himself on the bike so he could go absolutely hard in the run. He was down here measuring it with the GPS, which suggests he wants to set some sort of a personal best this morning here in Mount Maunganui. Now we are back on the bike. Nicole, talk us through as we before we let you go and catch the action in the run. Talk us through how we're looking with this bike.
It looks like Andrea's still keeping the pace hard. She knows she can run off a hard bike. She knows she's got those legs. So, yeah, good on her for keeping the pace up and just really putting it to the girls. Definitely going to come down to a running race, so it's going to see who's got the freshest legs and who can run off a hard bike.
Now, do we think anyone can hang with Hayden Wild? I mean, he's 5 times New Zealand 5,000 metre track running champ. Can we get the likes of Taylor or Dylan to stick with him?
Well, you'd definitely love to see that, make some more excitement, but Hayden's proved time and time again how good of a runner he is. I guess we'll see. We will definitely see. Well, thanks so much, Nicole van der Kay, for coming in and sharing your thoughts, and we can't wait to see your race next weekend in Taupo, and all the best for the coming season. Thank you. All
right, so we're back to the action with Andrea Hansen. She's right in amongst the midst of it. These girls are steaming along down the Marine Parade here in Mount Maunganui. This is wonderful racing. We have 7 women all on the front, hammering the pedals, wanting to make this otherwise flat and calm bike ride as hard as humanly possible. This is great racing. We saw them smashing it on the run in New Plymouth, and here they are smashing it again in the Bay of Plenty. Hayden Wild, he's on the front in the run.
He is absolutely smashing. I can tell he's got an 8-second lead now to a group of 4 to Stassenberg, Reed, Thorpe and McCulloch. So he's gone out really quick. And then another 5 seconds back to Saxon Morgan, sitting in 6th place. But yeah, I know why Hayden was out measuring the course today. He's out to prove to your running mates that he can run super fast off a swimming bike.
So a reminder, Mario Mola's, well, it's a world best for the sprint triathlon of 51:15. Now, they went through T2. Well, I should have got an actual split.
I'm going to take a split
30 minutes. So this is going to be a very, very quick. It was 40 minutes, so it's probably going to be a little bit slower than Mario Mola's time. But we will get some splits for you as the women come in. You can see Andrea Hansen just releasing the straps on her shoes. She'll put her feet up on the pedals and prepare for coming in to T2.
Yeah, she's. It looks like we've still got Hannah Knighton on the front there. As Nicole was saying a little bit earlier, she's had a bit of an injury, running injury this summer, so I don't believe we'll see her running today. So she's just wanting to have a good hard swimming bike and make it a good honest pace all the way through. But those boys, God, look how quick Hayden's running. He's going after. I've taken a split on this lap this time, so when they go through, we'll get a second lap split to what he's doing. And just as they came out of the turn of the first lap, it looked like the gap had created a little bit. Strassenberg was sitting in second, a small gap back to Taylor Reid and Trent Thorpe, and Dylan McCulloch was just there as well. So we just get a shot of the girls making their way.
And then the women, as you say, behind them, we can see athletes reaching down to their cycle shoes, just undoing those straps, preparing for the all-important T2. And how is this going to play out? We saw last week 4 women came into T2 all together, and then Nicole Vanderkay pulled away. Of course, she's not out there racing today. She was in the commentary booth with us. She's now changed over to spectator duty and cheerleading duty.
Yep.
And these women are all neck and neck. 7 women coming into T2. It's going to be a dash, a 5K dash along the streets of Mount Maunganui to find out who is the top sprint triathlete today. It is Thornbury leading things out, leading these women out. There is Andrea Hansen, 40 years of age tomorrow, the 39-year-old. Can she stick with these speedy youngsters? So it is Thornton, was it Kitely there as well?
Yeah, so it looks like there's a small little gap. Those first 3 had Ainsley Thorpe, Bria Roderick and Olivia Thornbury all going out front. They had about a 3-second lead to Andrea, so they've gone through T2 a little bit quicker. And Andrea's going to have to work pretty hard to get across. She did this last week, a little bit behind coming out of T2, but you know she'll work her way across. A very metronomic, efficient running style of her. And this is very good racing by these front 3 at the moment.
So out of T2, it was Olivia Thornbury in first place, Bria Roderick, and then Andrea Hansen, Hannah Knighton there as well. Hannah Howell in 5th, Madison Keatley in 6th.
Yeah, great racing by those young athletes of Hannah Howell and Madison Keatley. They've massive, going to take a lot away from today. And as we just seen behind us, we've had Hayden go through, and then he's got a lead of about 20 seconds back to Strassenberg and McCulloch running together. So they've dropped Taylor Reid by about 10 seconds this time, and then another 3 seconds back to Thorpe. That's the brother of Ainsley. So Ainsley's up the front. We've got Trent sitting in about 4th, 5th place at the moment. And what's your mathematics like, Hayden? Because I can tell you for that one lap, Hayden just ran a 3:34. So times that by 4, and that will give you the split that he's running at the moment.
So that's just a tick over 14 minutes for the 5K. So that is fast, and that's definitely threatening that time of Mario Mola, that 14:25 5K leg that he did back in 2018. So this is going to be a very quick 5K, and as we suspected, it was going to be very hard for anyone to follow him. We've got Stephen Sheldrake getting the split, and he's just pops out of the commentary booth to give a few little pointers to his man Taylor Reid. And we have these three women on the front. Andrea Henson not too far behind. So we have Thornbury.
Ainsley, Thorpe, and Roderick, with Roderick and Ainsley coached by Bruce Hunter. Ainsley's based in Cambridge, and Ria's based down in Christchurch. We've got Olivia Thornbury, she's based down in Wanaka, and so yeah, three girls off the front here, and we've got Olivia Thornbury, coached by Tim Brazier, based down in the South Island. And then we've got the two girls based out of Cambridge. Bria Roderick spends a fair bit of time in Christchurch, and Ainsley Thorpe, both coached by Bruce Hunter. And just behind us in the where we're commentating at the moment, I've just seen Lachlan Haycock just go past me, and he's got about a 6-second lead to James Corbett and Austin Carter, the son of Olympic gold medalist in 2004, Hamish Carter. So they're sitting back in about 7th, 8th and 9th at the moment.
Cool to see those generations coming through. Now, are we on to the last lap of Hayden Wild, or have we got one more to go?
No.
I've been losing count. He's been going through them so far. So
yeah,
third lap?
Yeah, he's on his third lap now.
Right.
When he comes past, I'll give you that split for that middle 2.5K. And we'll see if he's on course. So we went through in, 3:34, so we're looking at about 7:08 pace, basically, aren't we? So we'll see if he's lost anything this time. But he's here with a purpose. He's here to go, right, I'm going to win this race first, but I'm going to do it in a real fast time. And we just get an overhead shot. And is that Andrea as he's making her way across to those front four?
Yeah, Andrea doing good work, and then Hayden Wild coming up behind those four women there. So all of the race happening there right on screen. And as you said there, Stephen Sheldrake, Hayden Wild has had coach's orders to take it a little bit easier and just apply those different tactics of being able to run very, very hard off a lighter bike. So he's given himself the challenge to, can he play both the hard bike game and the hard run game? But he moves past the women, and the women close up to have four women all together.
Oh, isn't this exciting, mate? Four women running together at the front of a race, and it's not spread out, and it is awesome to see as we see Hayden come around. We'll give you a split in about a minute's time as he goes past our timing spot here. And just had a bit of a visual from Ava Goodison. We're wondering why she didn't make that front pack, and it looks like she's had a bit of a bike crash because she's got a bit of a scar on the side of the leg, so potentially that's what happened. And about 30 seconds later, we're seeing Jana Strassenberg and Dylan McCulloch run past, running together, and they've got a decent gap at the moment onto Taylor Reid and Trent Thorpe. So yeah, Taylor's sitting about 10 seconds behind. He hasn't lost anything that time, but here we go. We're going through that middle 2.5K, 7:14 by Hayden.
So that would suggest we're on track for something under 14:30. Can it get close to Mario Mola's 14:25? This is one of those moments we'll have a lot of people overseas keeping a close eye on this boy and seeing what sort of run legs he's got. And so he wants to send a little bit of a message, say, hey guys, I've still been training hard despite my wonderful year last year. Bronze medal at the Olympics, winning the Exterior World Champs, second in the Super League. Just had an incredible 2021, and wonderful to see a New Zealander back on that Olympic podium again. And wonderful to have a Olympic medalist back racing here at Mount Maunganui. And as you can see there, the crowd has come out. They have had their pancakes, their flat whites, their eggs Benny, and here they are cheering on New Zealand's top triathletes as they take on the streets of Mount Maunganui in beautiful conditions.
Oh, absolutely stunning. You couldn't get much better than this. There's not a breath of wind in the air, and purpose. Excellent, perfect for fast racing, and we'll get a split. We'll give it to you as soon as he can, but he's not letting up, and he's here to run a fast time. Track season's over, am I right? There's no more track events to come, so he is now purely a triathlete. He's not dabbling in both, and he's been obviously trying to qualify both the 5,000 at the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in the triathlon. He'll have to wait and see if he gets a nod for the athletics. He'll definitely get the nod for the triathlon. He's putting out a message to the world that I'm in good run shape. Our first World Triathlon Series race is in Yokohama in mid-May, so not far away.
And is that a sprint distance?
No, it's a Olympic distance.
Yeah.
It's a standard distance, but he's a front pack swimmer now. So,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? So there's no more having to burn matches to get up to the front pack anymore. He just can sit in, use that bike strength to come off the bike fresh and then run these amazingly quick times.
Here he is, Hayden Wilde. He's one of the best triathletes in the world. He's proved once again he is the king of triathlon here in Aotearoa. He has about 300 metres left to run, and man, he put on the burners as soon as he got into that run. Here he comes there. You can see his clean pair of heels, still right up on his toes, still trying to make this run as fast as humanly possible. He's done it basically all solo. About 300 metres into the run, he had the lead after a slightly slower transition than the other boys, but here he comes. Less than 100 metres to go. Hayden Wilde, he's your reigning bronze Olympic medalist. He will take out the Continental Cup, clicks the watch, sticks out the tongue. What a run performance from Hayden Wilde. Once again, we see him just dominating a triathlon. He last week dominated it on the bike. This week dominates it on the run. What can this man not do?
No, definitely. He's streaks ahead of him, and we're looking to see who's going to come in second. But it looks like it's Janis Jossenbergen.
Oh, great run from Janis.
Oh, big time.
Wonderful run.
Great race of him, and he's taken second in front of Dylan McCulloch today, who's backed up after last weekend where he got third, so 2 thirds in a row. And look at that run time, mate.
That is phenomenal. So Hayden Wilde just dropped to 14:13 for the 5,000 metres for the 5K. That is phenomenal, truly world class. I mean, in some years that's going to win you a national 5,000 metre title on the track.
Yeah.
Just a wonderful run, and also just look at those times from Janis Stauffenberg. 14:43.
Yeah,
Dylan McCulloch 14:51. These are all incredible world-class times for 5K off the bike. These boys have really come here to run.
They've come here to entertain today, and they've come to show the rest of the world what they're running at the moment. And yeah, some amazing times. 53:08 for Hayden today for an overall time. He was about 30 seconds in front of Janis with a 14:43, finishing in 53:35. Dylan 53:43. Taylor Reid fourth in 54:04. Trent Thorpe 54:20. And we'll be keeping an eye out on who's going to come home in sixth. It was a close battle between James Corbett and Austin Carter, followed closely by Lachlan Haycock. And we've just seen the girls go past, and we've still got 3 girls running together as we see Saxon Morgan coming through for 6th place today. Similar position to last week, but 3 girls off the front. We've got Andrea Hansen, we've got Ainsley Thorpe, so second last week for Andrea, and we had 4th place last weekend in New Plymouth for Ainsley, and then we've got Olivia Thornbury, who had a bit of an injury last weekend, wasn't managed to finish the race, has been cleared this week and is out to prove that, you know, she's an international athlete that deserves to be up there as well.
So David Martin, we saw him attacking on the bike. He's going to come through for a well-deserved 7th place with a 16:37 5K. But man, oh man, Janis Stauffenberg, 2nd place, running that 14:43, really throws the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of selection. Going into Com Games, because Taylor Reid sort of been sitting your second man. He finishes in 4th place. Dylan McCulloch backs up his 3rd place. So it's going to be all on, ladies and gentlemen, for Taupo next weekend as these boys try and put up their hand to the selectors for the Com Games. And what a race we've just seen. Hayden Wilde tearing away with it, but behind him's just wonderful racing. So Janis Stauffenberg comes through with a very strong run leg, and then Dylan McCulloch not too far behind him, only 8 seconds, and then it's only another 20 odd seconds back to Taylor Reid running a 15:14. So all those guys running very, very well. We've had Josiah Nate come through, James Corbett in 9th place, Austin Carter will round off his day in 10th, and Lachlan Haycock just saw on the screen coming through in 11th place. So we will get an update very shortly on how things are standing in this women's race.
Yeah, so we've got, one more lap to go once they come through. This is the third lap at the moment. So, yeah, looking to see what sort of run times that they did do. Last weekend, they were about 17:08, 09 from memory for these girls. At this bit of a faster course today, less wind, easier bike rides. So, yeah, look for those low 17s for those top three girls. Next time they come through, 1.25k to go. And it's awesome to see a very good crowd down here at the moment. Isn't it awesome to see we've got events now that spectators can come down and we don't have to have 100 people spacing and things like that.
It's great scenes down here. There's a big old crowd just across the road on Mount Drury Reserve, and here we have three runners all running neck and neck. Andrea Hansen right in the middle of that. And this is going to be a wonderful finish. We're on the third lap of 4, so it's about 1,500 metres left to run, probably less than a mile. These girls coming down to round the transition area for the final time here in Mount Maunganui. We have a race on our hands.
Yeah, this is awesome to see, and you know what I mean? It'll be interesting. I know Andrea has got a sprint finish on her. She's done it over the last 20 years. She's been one of those athletes that's had amazing finishes, and it's going to be interesting to see who pulls the trigger first, how far out they go, whether someone makes a move well before the finishes. They just go behind us here, so we've got exactly 1.25 k to go. I can't tell you who is going to be, what order it's going to be in. They all look very fresh. They all look like they're running with great form. I'd say in about 4.5 minutes time, I dare say, 5 minutes time, we'll see
how this plays out. So it's Ainsley Thorpe, Andrea Hansen, Olivia Thornbury. I think Bria Roderick has just been dropped off the back. She's just gone through now, probably about 15 seconds behind. So she's looking like, you can just see her bottom left of the screen as the other three round that second to last hairpin turn. How is this going to play out? Andrea Hansen looks well poised, just tucked in there, saving a little bit of energy. You definitely, just the same as cycling, you can conserve a little bit of energy just being able to tuck in and get out of whatever wind that your running speed is creating, because there's almost zero breeze blowing here at Mount Maunganui. It's perfect running conditions, and this crowd is enjoying some great racing.
Yeah, it's we've got about a kilometre to go. We're going to see who is going to back their sprint, who's going to go from a long way out. Like as I said before, Andrea, we know, has got a good sprint on her. I can't tell you anything about Ainsley or Olivia's sprinting ability. What I can tell you is that, as I said before, Ainsley's coached by Bruce Hunter. Andrea's coached by John Hellemans out of Christchurch. DSA watching this as well this weekend again. And Tim Brazier has been coaching Olivia Thornbury for a while now. And, told me that she's been swimming, biking and running well, and gets a chance this weekend to show that. And, I don't know who is going to be the favourite for it.
So there's Ainsley Thorpe up the front, Andrea Hansen just tucked in, and then it's Thornbury who beat Andrea Hansen by over a minute back at the Oamaru Sprint Triathlon a few weeks back. But these are very different conditions. It's all stayed together on the bike, and this is going to be such a fascinating final 600 metres. They will round the turn. It'll be the final turn, and then it's just a drag race along Marine Parade here in Mount Maunganui to the finish line. How is this going to play out? And are we seeing just the slight stretching of the bungee cord back to Olivia Thornbury? Have these two just gone clear? Is that little pressure from Ainsley Thorpe at the front being a bit decisive in terms of breaking up this group of three?
Yeah, just out of camera shot at the moment, but she may be there off the back. We'll hopefully get a bit of a panned out picture in a second just to see if the rubber band has broken, but it looks like it potentially has.
So Ainsley Thorpe, she was fourth last week in New Plymouth with Eva Goodison and Andrea Hansen and Nicole Vanderkay rounding up the top three. So we will definitely be crowning a new leader obviously without Nicole here. But has this broken up? Are we going to see Andrea Hansen, the GOAT of New Zealand Olympic distance triathlon pull away from the youngster Ainsley Thorpe, or will we have the Olympian from last year, Ainsley Thorpe, pull away from the expertise and wisdom and experience of Andrea Hansen? Here she goes, Ainsley Thorpe starting to get up on her toes, starting to make a little bit of a break. Will that be decisive?
Yeah, and Olivia's not out of it yet too. She's coming back on the back of Andrea, and yeah, it's going to be very close. Just as I look behind me, I see Ainsley's coach, Bruce Hunter's just come to see what's happening here on the screen.
Ainsley's having a wonderful run. She's had 4 runners come off the bike after they had 7 all close together. That's been whittled down to 3. Has it been whittled down to 1 as Ainsley Thorpe hits the food trucks? That means there's about 150 metres to go.
So hot off the press, Ainsley has a penalty from the Mount line, is now having to serve a 10-second penalty.
Oh my goodness, so Andrea Hansen has a clear road in front of her. Is it Andrea? No, it is Thornbury. Olivia Thornbury out of nowhere. We thought she was gone. She is pulled back into the lead. There she claims the win after Ainsley Thorpe has to serve that penalty, that painful 10-second penalty, and Andrea Hansen, she will settle for second place again. But what a finish from Olivia Thornbury. Offered a Christmas present right at the end.
Yeah, you could see on the way out before you saw Ainsley talking to someone, or she saw the penalty board that said her number, that she realised that she had a penalty to do. And in the sport here, I believe that she's gone over the mount line with her wheel, which has incurred a 10-second penalty, which is a lifetime in a sport like this up the front.
Wow, these rules are in place for a reason. It does come down to those minute details at this sort of level. And Olivia Thornbury, 600 metres to go. We thought she had been dropped where she slipped off the back of the pack. The bungee cord was stretching. Then she inched her way back onto the shoulder of Andrea Hansen, and then saw that Christmas present that Santa just left her a big old gift under the Christmas tree. And she saw Ainsley Thorpe have to move into that penalty box. She chose her moment and sprinted down the goat of Andrea Hansen.
We'll have to ask these girls whether they knew that Ainsley had that penalty, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Olivia may have known that Ainsley had to do that penalty. She's like, well, she's going to force the pace, try and get 10 seconds. I'm just going to run my own pace, and I'm going to finish off this last 500, you know, to my strengths. And it's came through, and she's done very, very well. And, you know, a very good day, both her and her partner, Yanis, who was second today. So, yeah, a great day for them, both.
Wow, what incredible scenes we've been treated to here in Mount Maunganui. Leg 2 of this tri-series of Continental Cup races. Now we're going to catch up with an interview with Hayden Wild very, very soon, and hear how he got on with that blazing fast run, which could possibly be one of the fastest we've ever seen in a sprint triathlon. The stats gurus, feel free to jump in the comment section below and correct me if I'm wrong, but it would certainly be up with one of the fastest we've ever seen.
It's definitely the fastest in New Zealand, I can tell you that for sure. And you know, as you said before, that time of 14:13 would win you a track national title in athletics. So you know, and I can tell you, if anyone listening going,
all right, let's jump over to a little interview with our winner, Olivia Thornbury.
So we're joined with our first place winner in the women's race today, Olivia Thornbury. First impressions, how's that?
Oh, that was pretty good. Feels good to take the win. But yeah, way better than last weekend, so I can't complain.
I was going to comment on that DNF last week. This has got to be a good feeling.
Oh yeah, really good. I'm really happy. I wasn't 100% confident going into it after last weekend, but yeah, I managed to put something together and very happy.
Running as a group there, was there any tactics to that? Sitting in, waiting, putting the pace down? What was the plan in there?
I was just holding on for dear life really on the back. Yeah, I managed to pull through, so yeah, really happy.
What's next?
Next weekend, Taupo, and then yeah, not too sure from there on, but yeah, looking forward to next weekend.
Nice work today, Olivia, thank you.
So those women will be meeting again down a couple of hours down the island in Taupo as they try to get bragging rights, and also the job that the selectors have got ahead of them, because these surprise wins and big changes have really mixed things up. We just had wonderful racing as we jump over to our second interview.
How was that?
Well, it was tough. Hard race all day.
So the big run in a group, what was the dynamics in there? Was it just everyone kind of holding on, or was there an aggressor, or what was going on there?
We managed to stay together, the 4 of us for the first 2 laps and then 3 of us, and then when Ainsley found out she had a penalty, she kind of took off, and yeah, I didn't have the sprint for the finish, got second today.
Got to be happy with that though, coming back to racing after a suspended time off. It's got to be good to get 2 results under your belt first off.
Yeah, it feels good to race. Yeah, I'm happy that I'm here.
Good to see you back, Andrea. Well done.
Thanks.
So good having Andrea Henson here. Turns 40 tomorrow, so happy birthday to Andrea. Hopefully her Wikipedia page is correct. I haven't been put it wrong. But if you are out there watching it, why not jump in the comments section and wish Andrea a little happy birthday. Maybe jump over to her Instagram and give her a congratulations, because it is wonderful having one of the all-time greats still competing, and you know how cool for Olivia Thornberry to run down such a great.
We're joined here with third place today, Ainsley Thorpe. First impressions on how that went?
Yeah, it was 100 times better than last week for me. Last week was a bit my first race in over 6 months and a few months struggling with injury, and I was a bit rusty, so this week I was hoping to have a better run, and yeah, I just felt so much better today, so just had to blow out the cobwebs last week, and yeah, unfortunately very jumped onto my bike a touch too early, and that cost me the win today, which I'm really gutted about. But yeah, lucky I did it here and not overseas, so yeah, just be careful next time, and yeah, just learnt my lesson today for my first ever penalty, so yeah, gutted, but happy to put in a solid race otherwise.
It's got to be good to get a race, 2-3 races of this quality in before heading over to Europe for the big racings with such good competition.
Yeah, I booked my flights on Friday, so yeah, it just makes me even more excited for my I'm heading over in May for a couple of races in Italy, and yeah, these races are a very good warm-up to heading overseas with the with the internationals, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting one more race next weekend, and then yeah, preparing for those big races overseas.
Well done today. Good luck for the future.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. It was great supporters out there.
There she was, and look, she can take a lot of heart from being only 10 seconds back from the win, maybe slightly under 10 seconds. She had it in the bag if it wasn't for that. So just wonderful racing, and very cool to see Olivia just have that tenacity to stay in it when she saw the race potentially going away from her. So Stephen, here we go. Before we get to Stephen with a bit of a wrap-up, let's hear from Hayden Wild.
So we're joined with first place today, Hayden Wild. First impressions on that race, mate?
Oh, mate, it's great to be racing. Pretty much where home is, which is really nice. Very similar to the surf break around Christmas times, Boxing Day. So it was nice to get out here. Nice to have an actual crowd and get amongst it. And yeah, as I said, it was great to have the boys here too.
Absolutely flying on that run today. Was that a plan, just to kind of sit in, take it a bit easier than last week potentially, and just see what the run legs have got on?
Yeah, of course.
Can you repeat
like last week
before?
was all about how hard I could hit the bike. This week was all about how hard I can hit the run, and there's a lot of games happening on the bike today. The Martin boys, David went up the front and we just let him go, and we had to catch him back, and then it was a bit of tricks and games up front there, and it all kind of settled down for a little bit, and then yeah, getting onto the run and just really taking my time in transition and just giving it a good 1-2 and see how the legs went.
Got to say, it's good to get these races in. Like you said, home roads. Good to blow out the cobwebs before the season kicks off proper in Europe.
Oh, 100%, like I'm leaving in May, heading over to Singapore for the arena games, so I'm kind of definitely going into my depth. I suck at swimming in the pool, and Zwift running on a treadmill is not really my forte, but it's a great little head out before Yokohama on the 15th, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, just every race you can get in at the pre-season, just doing those those little increment things, the transition is really key.
Good to see you out here, mate. Well done.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Love that. He's just he's a racer, isn't he? He just loves racing.
Oh, yes.
More chances he can get to race, the better.
Yeah, indoor, outdoor tracks, you know, bike races, mountain bike races. He loves it. Exterior world champion. So, you know, I mean, he's definitely world class, and you know, he's gone into the last 2 weeks with a plan. You know, it was last week hit the bike hard, this week hit the run hard. Next week will be interesting to see what he does in Taupo.
All right, here is our second place getter, Jana Stauffenberg, after that wonderful run.
So we're joined with second place, Jana Stauffenberg. Mate, how was that?
Oh, look, it was way better for me than last weekend. Just stoked to put down a strong race and be out the front with the water. Last week was a bit tossed around in the water, and this week to be amongst it, just stoked.
Safe to say you're probably not the most well-known person on the start list. Tend to hide away in the South Island a bit. You think that helps?
Oh, it's always an advantage to be a bit of an underdog, but I like to think my name's getting a bit more popular now.
Yeah, I think it certainly will be after that, mate. That run was absolutely blistering. Did you feel good out there? You must have done.
Oh, I felt way better than last week. I think last week was a bit breaking the ice, and today I was feeling way stronger. And it's just a fast, flat course, so stoked, eh?
So what's your plans? What's your goals? Where are you heading over to Europe or anything?
Nothing really planned at this stage. For me, it's just looking at next weekend, Taupo, and doing the best I can there, and then we'll reassess from there.
Good work today, mate. Absolutely killed it.
Thank you.
So it's going to be so interesting how next week plays out, and of course we'll be back same time, different place in Taupo, but we'll be back on Sky Sport next week. And really the big story is what sort of messages will next week send to the selectors in terms of filling out those places for the Com Games. So let's go to our third place, Dylan McCulloch backing up his third from New Plymouth.
So we're joined with third place getter today, Dylan McCulloch. How's the body? First impressions on that race?
Oh yeah, it was a pretty great race for me. Pretty cruisy swim and a really easy bike out there, so it was just a big running race. And I'm very happy to come over for a third.
As Hayden said, there's a bit of boys playing games on that bike. Did you get involved yourself?
Yeah, there was a few attacks here and there, especially around the turnarounds. But I got involved in a few, but just tried to save my energy as much as possible because I knew it was going to be a running race. And
yeah, similar to last week, came down to a bit of a running race. Last week you had the head start. This week you came off with everyone. Did that change how you approached it at all?
Oh, last week I had quite a few stomach issues, so I was happy to survive last week and get to the finish line. But today I had no problems, and I'm just happy to show that my running's there, and we'll see how it goes in Taupo next week.
So you said you're racing Taupo next week. Anything further on from there?
Maybe a little bit of a break after Taupo, and then rebuild into European season starting in May, kind of June time.
Nice work today, mate. Well done.
Thanks heaps. Thanks.
Well, there we are. That rounds out our top three of the men's elite field. The podium, back in the podium again is Dylan McCulloch. Hayden Wild, of course, back on it. And this time we had Jana Stauffenberg just moving up into that second place with that wonderful run. We look forward to Taupo next weekend, which is going to be Sunday. What can we expect?
Yeah, set your reminders on Sky Next. Tell everybody that it's on. I think it's about the same sort of timing as last week, about an 8:30 for the juniors and 9:40 for the men. But it's amazing. We get to go to 3 different locations with 3 different types of courses. You're going to see 3 different types of races potentially next week. Maybe another breakaway again. It's a bit of a rolling course around that sort of 2-3 mile bay, and maybe completely different again. But and it'll be interesting to see the athletes that can back up week after week after week.
Yeah,
and because some of them are starting to get tired. You've got some athletes that are based in the South Island have had to live up here in hotels over the last 2 weeks, and it's just amazing for athletes to be able to actually get some racing this summer given what we've had with COVID. And as you hear, a number of them are starting to plan their European trips and start heading away, and they need these hard hit outs so they can, they're not turning up and done nothing once they get to the Northern Hemisphere. But awesome to be here, amazing racing, and I look forward to Taupo next weekend.
Absolutely. So once again, set your reminders and book yourself on the trainer in front of your screens, or get the pancakes going and have that brunch in front of some wonderful world-class domestic triathlon action. So there's your rounding out of the elite females race with that very exciting finish from Olivia Thornberry taking out the win ahead of Andrea Hansen, then Ainsley Thorpe having to do the heartbreaking last-minute penalty to miss out on the win. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this morning here in Mount Maunganui. My name is Hayden Sherman. I've been joined in the commentary booth by Stephen Sheldrake from all the team here with skysportnext and Triathlon New Zealand and the event organisers who have put on a wonderful event. We will see you all next week in Tupō.